Chapter 27:05. Long Fei, this big boss. Chapter 27:05. Long Fei. This big boss, the flying sword, was like lightning as it pierced forward. It carried an incomparable amount of power and pressure. This power, from the looks of the Tsanglan continent, it was as if a golden lightning bolt had streaked across the sky. Crap! The slovenly old man's eyes narrowed. Why didn't you listen to him? Tsanglan continent is merely a lower plane. Can it be compared with those middle and higher plane powerhouse? Be it in terms of strength or pressure, they are not on the same level. Not a match. Different planes and different laws. There were different types of planes, and the corresponding power was the same. The higher the plane, the more powerful the warriors would be. Even the lowliest warriors would be more powerful than the lowliest powerhouse. Even if Long Fei had only just broken through to the great perfection stage, she was still only at the great perfection stage of the Tsanglan continent. The slovenly old man was extremely frantic, but he knew that there was no use in being impatient. Long Fei was too young. He was young and arrogant. Facing the 10,000 world powerhouse, the first thing he should do was to avoid them and develop in a wretched way. After that, he would come out and do it. Too young. Sigh. Lord Immortal, I'll do my best. The slovenly old man shook his head and sighed. Many people from Tsanglan continent looked up at the sky and sneered. He was overestimating himself. This was the result. The flying sword was like lightning, arriving in the blink of an eye. Long Fei stood proudly in the outer space as a boundless pressure pressed down from all directions, as if four super ferocious demon beasts were pinching his neck. It was very hard. Long Fei let out a small breath and asked, "This is the outer space powerhouse. This is the powerhouse of a high plane. It's really different." Very Tsanglan continent. The powerhouse S on top of them were completely different. The aura emitted from their bodies alone was already exceptionally strong. However, as Long Fei looked at the flying sword, the corner of his mouth slightly curled as he coldly said, "No matter how strong he is, he's still a god's tribe dog. If it's a god's tribe dog, then it has to die." Boom! With a flip of his left hand, the underworld fire appeared. Ding! Target locked. Fire! Long Fei yelled as he released the underworld fire's power the moment he locked onto it. At the same time, he also charged forward. His right hand moved. Decaying power. Drink it. The underworld fire was burning. The man's eyes darkened. Ancient inheritance power. On your body. Underworld fire. Legacy of the Ming clan. No wonder the rewards for the Emperor Xian were so generous. You actually have the power of the ancient inheritance. This time, I've struck the jackpot. You've only cultivated the power of such a powerful Ming clan inheritance to its core. Giving it to you would be a waste. Kid, leave it to me. The man laughed excitedly. He looked even more ferocious. His appearance looked just like when Long Fei saw the boss. Indeed, to him, Long Fei was now a boss with a strange treasure on its body, and a super boss shining brightly. How could he let it go? Long Fei frowned. The underworld fire could kill the Ocean King, but it did not deal much damage to the man. It could be seen that the Ocean King was just a small fry in the universal realm. Couldn't even be considered a powerhouse. Long Fei tensed up. The decaying power in his right hand was absorbing the flying sword, causing his palm to constantly hurt, as though it was going to be pierced by the flying sword. His body was also retreating. Another wave of ancient inheritance. Ha ha ha. 2 ancient inheritance. S. Rich. I'm rich. I'm really going to make a fortune today. The man was even more excited. His eyes shone brightly, looking at Long Fei as though he wanted to swallow him up. Saliva dripped from the corner of his mouth. It had the exact same expression as when Long Fei saw the boss. Long Fei's heart trembled. Damn, I've become a boss. It's mine. It's all mine. The man's eyes darkened. He turned and surged in power, rushing towards Long Fei like a layer of sky above the Zhanglan continent, ferocious to the point of chaos. TL. However, at this moment, another spiral of space exploded as a powerhouse flew out. Boom! A single chi overturned the power released by the flying sword man. Rumble! Ha ha! An old man with silver hair walked out while stroking his body. He looked at Long Fei, who was not far away, with a sinister smile on his lips, and said, "Those who see will get a share. Who said it's yours?" The flying sword man's eyes darkened. "You want to steal my business? Old ghost, do you know who I am? Who is my master?" "Little kid, don't be so rude. Your master won't be able to save you when the time comes." The sinister old man's lips quirked into a cold sneer. Moreover, as he spoke, his gaze was fixated on Long Fei. His eyes flashed with excitement. Just like the man with the flying sword, his eyes were sparkling. In his eyes, Long Fei had also become a big boss. The flying sword man shouted, "Old ghost, everyone needs to be cautious about first come, first serve. If I found him first, then his life is mine. However, this is the world of Powerhouse, where big fishes eat small fishes. Now that I have come, there is nothing left for you to do. Otherwise, I would have eaten this small shrimp of yours as well." The flying sword man was a small shrimp. What is Long Fei? Seaweed? A plankton? The flying sword man's expression became gloomy. At this moment, another spiral of space exploded. Ha ha! A big fish eating small fish is not bad, but what about my whale? All of you, get out of the way. He's mine. Rumble! A loud explosion resounded. Another powerhouse broke through the void. His eyes stared straight at Long Fei. 2 sets of ancient inheritances power, plus this reward of 1 ancient inheritance. Ha ha! It's all mine. The old man's eyes darkened when he saw this. Obviously, this man was stronger than him. However, the third man had not finished fighting when another loud sound came from the sky, and an old woman slowly walked out. Her face was gloomy and her eyes shone with a bright light as she stared at Long Fei and said, "The whale is indeed powerful, but it is not as powerful as my poisonous widow. So, all of you, get out of the way. This little child is mine now. He's eating it right now to mend my Yin palace." TSK tisk. Boom, boom, boom. The twisted spiral spaces in the sky exploded one after another. They were all powerhouse from different planes, and they were all extremely powerful. These were all powerhouse from the higher planes. The 10,000 worlds chasing order. Although there weren't 10,000 powerhouse, there were at least 100 of them. They were all powerhouse. It was the same boss. All of them stared at Long Fei like tigers stalking their prey, drooling at the corners of their mouths. The same. Long Fei was the same, drooling. Advertisement. In their eyes, Long Fei was a boss that they were drooling over. In Long Fei's eyes, these people were all super bosses. Who killed who? Who dares to do it? Out of 100 outer space powerhouse S, their strength could be said to be able to completely crush Long Fei. For this, they were arguing fiercely. He's mine. I came first. I found him first. He's mine. The old Wong next door to my wife's house is an outer disciple of God's tribe. Whoever dares to argue with me, be careful that I won't be polite with him. I bid 10 million Grand Mist crystals. F***CK. I bid 100 million. Give me, Wang Daji, some face. Give him to me. Who the fuck are you? I was hanging myself for a long time. Stop talking. I'm a member of the Murder's Palace. He's the target of our assassination mission. Whoever dares to go against our sect. Be careful, I might send all of their members onto the killing list. Who the hell is the Palace of Destiny? Scram. The argument was untenable. No one wanted to miss this opportunity to soar into the sky. It was not only the Emperor Xian's rewards. Just the two ancient inheritance on Long Fei's body were enough to make them go crazy. Who could obtain it? It had to be known that the current ancient inheritance was basically controlled by the gods' tribe. Whoever could obtain, one would rise to the sky in a single step, possessing an extremely powerful status and power in the universal realm, and even being able to directly become a presbyter of God's tribe. This was an opportunity that could not be missed by anyone. While everyone was arguing, Long Fei was a little free. No one present took him seriously. It was as if he was a fish on the chopping block and could be slaughtered immediately. This made Long Fei a little unhappy. However, he was not idle at all. Seeing the last powerhouse walk out from within the spiral space, the corner of Long Fei's lips curled up as he said with a gentle smile, "You're more or less done, right?" The audience fell silent. They all looked at Long Fei. Long Fei said, "It's been so long, it's so noisy. Kid, are you getting impatient? We gave you a few more seconds to live. You think you can escape? For trash like you from the lower planes, it would be a waste for you to have the power of two ancient inheritances. Hand it over obediently." Many people were displeased. They started arguing again. Long Fei said, "Hee hee." And then Long Fei said loudly, "Quiet. Everyone quiet down for a moment. Listen to me." The scene was silent again. "What are you going to say?" "You have no right to speak here." "You bastard. Just wait for your death." "Everyone, let's see what he has to say. Let's see what this trash can say." 100 powerhouse looked at Long Fei. Long Fei's mouth hooked up, revealing a disdainful cold smile, and said arrogantly, "Forgive my bluntness, but everyone here is trash. The 10,000 world chasing order. Ha ha. I will turn you guys upside down." With that, the entire hall fell silent, so quiet that it made people panic. At this moment, the eyes of the man who arrived first darkened. The flying sword on his back abruptly unfurled and changed to 18. Shwa, shwa, shwa. 18 rays of light turned into 18 streaks of lightning, shooting in all directions. The entire sky seemed to be split open. Space itself shattered. Endless amounts of power crazily rushed at Long Fei. It was completely different from the power of the previous flying sword. This power, it was abnormally fierce and powerful. The flying swordman also said with disdain, "Trash, are you the only one who dares to be so arrogant in front of us? You don't even have the right, do you?" The sky above Songlan continent seemed to have been cut open. A golden net appeared. The eyes of the people on the Songlan continent all darkened. "He's finished. He's dead for sure." At the peak of the blue mist, the leopard girl looked at the sky. Her gaze didn't have much of a ripple, only a bitter smile. She looked into the sky and muttered, "Hubby, it seems like I won't be able to see you again. I missed you so much. Have you reached Universal Realm yet? Did you find Big Sister Luluashi and the others? Have you found Qian Qian? Have you found Sister Jojo? I missed you guys so much." The leopard girl smiled bitterly. From the gods' martial continent to here, it had been 100 years, and there was nothing she could do. Her talent was not high. There were no special blood vein that she could break through, and on this continent, she was unable to do so. Even the Songlan College was not able to pass the examination no matter what, and could only look up at the sky from head to toe. She wanted to stand a little higher each time, because to her, this meant that she was a little closer to Long Fei. She waited at the peak of the blue mist. She hadn't reported any hope to begin with, but now that she looked at the cracked sky, the sliver of hope in her heart immediately disappeared. As she spoke, tears welled up in the leopard girl's eyes. He cried. She did not know who the Long Fei, in the outer space of Tsanglan continent, was. If he knew, it's over, it's all over. There's nothing we can do now. Sigh. Kid, why didn't you listen to me? The slovenly old man said in heartache. Long Fei had angered the masses, let alone the 100 outer space powerhouses. He couldn't even take them all alone. Looking at the 18 flying swords that turned into interweaving lightning bolts and smashed towards Long Fei, the 100 powerhouse sneered, all of them carrying expressions of contempt. Humph, you overestimate yourself. Who do you think you are? So just because you have 2 ancient inheritances worth of power, you can go to the heavens? Do you even know what kind of low cultivation you are? It's simply impossible to cultivate the power of the ancient inheritance to an even higher realm in the lower planes. Only the universal realm that is closest to the ancient world is the best plane to cultivate in. Give him a lesson. Let's see if he still dares to be arrogant. They all looked at Long Fei with contempt. To them, Long Fei was too weak. It was nothing more than a pile of dregs from the lower planes. From the beginning to end, they did not put Long Fei in their eyes, as anyone could take care of him. However, they seemed to not know what happened to the Zhenwu realm. They did not know that the golden armor bodyguard was killed by Long Fei, and they did not know that the presbyter of God's tribe was sucked into a dried-up corpse by Long Fei. If he knew about this, just as the 18 flying swords descended like lightning, Long Fei's eyes became gloomy. The dragon-shaped mark under his right arm slightly moved. The draconic scales exploded one by one. At this moment, the voice from the dragon-shaped mark's space sounded out. Think about it carefully. Your body won't be able to withstand this power. If this power exceeds the limit, your body will probably explode. Long Fei said, Don't talk to me like that. Let's just do it. Why are you so cowardly? Aren't you very arrogant? The voice of the dragon-shaped mark immediately became angry. I submit. F***CK. I'll let you know how crazy I am. Black and white power. Open. Rumble. In that instant, Long Fei's body began to change. Chapter 2707. Whose instant kill? Chapter 2707. Whose instant kill? What was black and white? Darkness. Light is white. The power beneath the dragon-shaped mark was released, and the most primitive power, which was also the power that slowly evolved from the most primitive black and white when the world first opened up, slowly opened up from Long Fei's body. Before, it was only a power that he had released, but Long Fei had not clearly felt it before. When the power was released from his body, he could truly sense what the black and white power was. Buzz. Boom. When he released his power, the axis of Long Fei's body suddenly turned pitch black. Eyes, skin, and even the blood-colored dragon scales on his right arm caused his clothes to turn black in an instant, as if it was the void of darkness. Standing on the outer space, it was as if Long Fei's body had disappeared in half. In that instant, boom, another tremor ran through his body. Next, the other half around him became pure white. Hair, eyes, body on the left. Pure white. Just like how Xion Abai's white light shone on his body, one side was black, while the other side was white. This scene was like a confrontation between darkness and light. The aura of power was very calm, without the slightest ripple, but, however, Long Fei's body was like a thunderclap roaring, and the enormous wave rolled about 30,000 meters away. He couldn't control it. His body was unceasingly being attacked. The moment the power of black and white was released, the system sounded out a prompt. Ding! System notification. Your strength is too great. Players' bodies can only last 1 minute and 30 seconds. Ding! System notification. Your strength is too great. Players' bodies can only last 1 minute and 30 seconds. Ding! System notification. Your strength is too great. Players' bodies can only last 1 minute and 30 seconds. The system alarm sounded 3 times in a row. After the notification sound ended, a countdown appeared in Long Fei's mind. 1 minute and 30 seconds. 90 seconds. His current physical body could be said to be extremely strong. With his blood scales, his physical body could withstand the golden armor bodyguard's attack, but he could only endure this power for 90 seconds. Then how strong was this power? Long Fei muttered, "What happens after time passes?" The system did not reply. The power from the dragon-shaped mark replied, "Flesh into powder." Huff! Long Fei let out a small breath. 90 seconds. There are 100 outer space powerhouses here. That's about 1 per second. Ha ha! I like it. And also at this moment, the 18 great flying swords' lightning intertwined sword chi net came crashing down ruthlessly, about to land on top of Long Fei's head. Extremely fierce. The flying sword man coldly snorted and said, "Trash die. Begin." Ding. Countdown begins. The system sounded out. In that moment, Long Fei also moved. Not a second. Shwa. His figure disappeared. Boom. Instantly piercing through the flying sword lightning web, he instantly appeared in front of the flying sword man and grabbed his arm. Long Fei laughed sinisterly. Who is the trash now? The flying sword man's pupils began to tremble, not waiting for him to speak. Crack. And also at this moment, the black and white power on Long Fei's body directly rushed into his flesh. Ah. 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 Save me. Save me. His soul was screaming. The primordial spirit howled. A white light could be seen floating around his body. Moreover, in that instant, he was crushed into an integral by a surge of energy. Souls were destroyed together with origin souls. Instant kill. It was a complete instant kill. You really don't even have the chance to become a ghost. The 100 surrounding outer space powerhouses were all dumbstruck. Zhang Xian was dumbfounded. What kind of power is this? Could it be that this kid has other inheritances in his body? What is it? Heavens, he can even kill a soul or primordial spirit. What kind of evil art does this kid cultivate? Humph. Trash. Let me see just how many trash you have in the lower realms. Just as he said the word trash, Long Fei's black and white body suddenly appeared in front of him. And once again, with a flick of his right hand, it pierced straight through his chest. Long Fei's arm was like a spirit body. The powerhouse did not react at all, looking at his own chest. His eyes revealed a sinister look, his palm directly striking towards Long Fei's forehead. Die! Shwa! His body was covered densely in black meridian patterns, as if he had been poisoned. This black meridian also instantly drew out all the energy from his body. Boom! In half a second, the powerhouse turned into charcoal. It was like being burned by a high temperature. Long Fei lightly pulled with his right hand. Crack! Rumble! His entire body was shattered into black powder and disappeared into the void. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing an alien expert for obtaining 1 million experience points and 100,000 spiritual value. F***CK. Nothing exploded. System, aren't you giving me too much face? It's a boss after all. Long Fei disdained in his heart. He then lifted his eyes, swept them across the room, and sinisterly said, "Next!" How preposterous! Such arrogance, Let me see how capable you are. Bone, endless ghost claw. The ghastly old granny's claws locked onto Long Fei, and the tens of thousands of white bone ghost claw appeared in the air, grabbing towards Long Fei in a split second. Long Fei did not move. Xuan'a Bai's eyes lit up slightly. His body was like Buddhist light. Buzz. Exploding forth, the tens of thousands of ghost claws in the sky instantly turned into nothingness. Long Fei's lips curved up. Do you think you can get this daddy to heal your body? Explode for me. Boom. He took a step forward, and with a single move, he killed them all. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Outer Space Powerhouse. Congratulations player Long Fei for obtaining 1 million experience points and spiritual value of 1 million. It was a system beep. Still nothing dropped. Long Fei was puzzled. Big Brother system, it's a boss after all. Why don't you just drop something? Even if you don't talk about holy artifact, why not something like that? These outer space powerhouse may not be much in universal realm, but this is Songlan continent. They were considered a super boss. Not a single thing. Suddenly, Long Fei thought of a very serious problem. Damn, it's not that we don't want to blow things away, but my power directly turned everything on their bodies into ashes. F***CK. It's not good to have too much strength, right? Sigh. Being too handsome is also a crime. Long Fei looked at the dazed people around him, smirked, and said with a disdainful smile, Isn't that the 10,000 worlds chasing order? Aren't you chasing after me? Come on. Not coming. Not coming. Then Lousy is here. Chapter 2708. All must die. Chapter 2708. All must die. Time is limited. No time to beep. Otherwise, Long Fei would still want to act tough. Moreover, when the time came, the consequences. Not a joke. He didn't want to die with his fleshly body destroyed. If he really died, then there would be nothing left. From the Zhanwu continent to the Songlan continent, he had brought 180 billion experience points and reached the great perfection stage in a single day. Once he ascended, he would be able to bring along 10 billion experience into the universal realm. Even if he couldn't level up to 120 levels in a day, 10 billion experience points could at least level up dozens of levels, right? Thus, he had to die. The 10,000 worlds chasing order. The 10,000 worlds death. Writ was about the same. The aura on Long Fei's body faintly loosened. Rumble. Rumble. Chase down your father. God's tribe? Emperor Xian? Today, I will let you know the consequences of chasing after me. Wang. Long Fei's figure disappeared. In that instant, the 100 outer space powerhouses panicked, but they were all people who had experienced great storms, and with their powerful cultivation, they were shocked by the black and white power that suddenly erupted from Long Fei's body and quickly adjusted themselves. We're allied. Let's deal with him together. This kid definitely has other powers of the ancient inheritance, stronger. Otherwise, why would the God's tribe issue the strongest killing order? Is the God's tribe hiding something? This boy is a martial artist from a lower realm. It is impossible for him to be so powerful. Let's not talk about that yet. Hurry up, the powerhouse of God's tribe is about to arrive. When they arrive, there will be no more for us. Boom, boom, boom. One after another, powerful auras burst forth. 100 powerhouse instantly formed an alliance, and in that instant, they revealed their weapons. Idea's senses. Highly alert. I can't sense any aura. It's as if he disappeared. Did he escape? Don't relax, he must be here. Silence. It was dead silent, without even a trace of Long Fei's aura in the surroundings. It was as if they had escaped. But even if they fled millions of kilometers, even the entire Tsanglan continent would not be able to escape the senses of their 100 powerhouses. A few seconds passed. Long Fei still had not appeared. However, there was a white mist. Why is there a fog? Mist. What's going on? There's black fog here. One black and one white. Everyone be careful. Without waiting for him to finish. Crack. Ah. Ding. One person turned to ash, instantly killed. The system sounded out. Boom. In the fog, another person let out a blood-curdling scream. Another insta-kill. The system beep sounded again. Too fast. Moreover, they couldn't even see a shadow of Long Fei. He was just like a ghost. The black-white world. The Jedi domain. In this domain, he was the king, he was the god. Boom. 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 In 20 seconds, over 30 outer space powerhouses were instantly killed, and the remaining tens of people quickly shrank back, all leaning against each other, not daring to disperse. Brat, come out if you dare. You dog, what is a sneak attack? Come out, I'll order with you. Without waiting for him to finish. Crack. His head was cut off by a ray of light the color of Xuanabai's hair, and his body turned into ashes. In that instant, the surrounding people had also locked onto Long Fei, and the 6 of them attacked together. Let's see how long you can stay alive this time. Boom. Rumble. The 6 most powerful forces. He exploded with full power. Long Fei's body sank, the corner of his mouth slightly lifted, and said, "This is my world. Your strength is like an ant." Ha ha ha. The 6 waves of power struck his body, but Long Fei remained motionless. No damage at all. Ah ha ha. Tremble in my world. Long Fei's body was hidden within the dark mist. The instant his figure disappeared, the vital energy and blood below his chest started to boil, and a mouthful of fresh blood sprayed out. He couldn't hold it in. Hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Panting heavily, Long Fei looked at his own chest. There were 6 cuts and 6 deep handprints on his chest. Some of the handprints had already turned black and were in extreme pain. Why is this happening? Long Fei did not understand. One had to know that no matter how weak his physical body was, it shouldn't have ended up like this. The power from the dragon-shaped mark said, "Black and white body, all of the power in your body will be used to sustain you for 90 seconds. Your body will not have any form of defense, not even a bit. Any attack, even if it's a mosquito bite, will cause you a great deal of damage. And I have to remind you, you don't have much time left. No defense at all." Long Fei's current physical toughness was still very low. After activating the black and white power, he had to use all of his power to support the opening of the black and white power. Because of this, his defense was basically 0. Long Fei looked at the time and saw that there were only 30 seconds left. Zhang Xian frowned. A light breath. At this time, the power from the dragon-shaped mark said, "Other than these, there is another thing. Even though your body can endure for 90 seconds, but even if you were to retract all of this power 90 seconds ago, your body would still be heavily injured, even if it were to not be turned into dust. Opening the black and white power is the price that your body cannot bear." Long Fei had already thought of this long ago. As long as he could become strong, as long as he could obtain stronger power, as long as he could defeat all these outer space powerhouses, he had nothing to fear. Long Fei nodded and said, "Understood. Now, I want to kill to my heart's content." He focused his mind. Long Fei's black and white eyes were filled with killing intent as he said in a low voice, "Wah! Tremble for me." In that instant, Long Fei's figure turned into a ghost. The remaining powerhouse were all trembling in their hearts. The attack just now did not cause any damage to Long Fei. which made them even more afraid. Adding the dead into the mix, they began to feel the urge to retreat. Whoosh! One powerhouse was very powerful. He wanted to escape through the void. However, not waiting for him to escape. Boom! A powerful force crushed down, instantly killing him. All of you must die. None of you will escape. All of you must die. Long Fei's voice was like a death sentence. It crushed everyone's minds. Master, it's all because of the orders given by the gods' tribe. We had no choice but to do so. We never thought of killing you. Lord, please be merciful and spare our lives. We swear that we won't dare to do it again. Please spare my life. He was scared. He was terrified. In this black and white fog, it was like they were in hell. Ha ha! Spare your lives. Is it absolutely possible for you all? Black and white chaos. Domain fission, die for me. The black and white veins on Long Fei's forehead bulged, and all of the energy in his body exploded outwards. In the blink of an eye, there were only a few seconds left. However, within the domain, there was a muffled sound. Chapter 2709, Counterattack Flying Leopard. Chapter 2709, Counterattack Flying Leopard. Buzz. A muffled sound rang out. Fission. The domain within the black and white fog continued to shrink. It was as though an inexhaustible power was crazily ravaging the world. It fiercely squeezed everything within the domain into a tiny grain of sand before exploding into the alternate world. Disappeared. It was also at this time space began to crack and shatter. Like a bolt of lightning, the sky exploded. Boom, boom, boom. A mad explosion resounded, the sonic boom of a spatial tear. At this moment, the system's notification sound also exploded in Long Fei's mind. Ding, ding, ding. It was as if a firecracker had been set off. It could not stop at all. It exploded in an instant. The only displeasing thing was that other than experience points, there was nothing else. No one else's sh*T exploded out. This strength was too ferocious, so much so that all of them were turned into ashes. Long Fei's heart was also incomparably brazen. Black and white power. What kind of power is it? What other power is the dragon-shaped mark hiding? The heck? He's too strong. Just like that, 100 powerhouse from another realm were smashed into pieces. Whoever was killed in an instant, if Long Fei wasn't in Songlan continent now. if he really wanted to fight with all the blood vessels in his body continuously ruptured, Emperor Xian and in half a second, the black and white body became a bloody person, an unprecedented blood dripping all over, ultimate dripping all over his hair. 7 means map. A beautiful woman is equivalent to a Tao mission could not control it at all. In other words, and was in so much pain hidden strengths that he could not under the dragon-shaped mark. Not to mention controlling if I can release his body continued to spin as he fell from the air. My God, whoosh whoosh is the Emperor Xian considered a bird? Whoosh. Asterisk universal whoosh, realm. Whoosh. What does ancient world all over us? And this indescribable discomfort will do it all at once. That powerful voice was heavy, felt as he said. And you have to endure the dragon-shaped you have to endure his right arm or was concealing an even stronger power than the entire universal he did not realm. Continue. Now, if he couldn't withstand it, if his fleshly body died, was the everything will start again. The repression of boundary at that time. Other than that, not be Long Fei he really did not because if he were any to die force his flesh body against it. It would mean the first that he force was given, which meant that he was not suitable for the second path. He couldn't save what the system's owner wanted to save. Leopard Girl. The system would not appear out of nowhere. Also at this moment, and innocently, the countdown inside Long Fei's body it did not exist as a BUG, but a quest. System everything that Long Fei black and white power experience it seemed like he was walking with his life on the line without waiting for Long Fei to retrieve it himself. Basically, the black and white power was instantly following the instructions and he returned to the dragon-shaped mark S. Then he would fail. The powerful voice they would shouted, be killed. You have possession does not exist. As soon as he finished, the reason why black in that moment and Long Fei did not say anything as if his soul was going to rush out of his body. He had failed before. It was like he was well aware of the consequences. 47 shots Long Fei was unable to reply, falling tens of thousands of meters from the ground. He was already in so much pain that he had fainted. Sanlan continent. The spirals in the sky all disappeared. Many people could not see what happened 10 kilometers up in the sky, but the peak Sanlan continent could see it. It was too terrifying. In front of these outer space powerhouses, they were like a speck of dust. And those outer space powerhouses were like ants in front of Long Fei. It was too valiant. Seeing Long Fei falling from the sky, the slovenly old man's incomparably shocked expression changed. Damn it! He rushed up into the sky, thinking to himself, Brat, don't let anything happen to you. If you die, I really won't be able to explain it to immortal Master Lu Yuan. Don't die. Please don't die. Rumble. In midair, the slovenly old man received Long Fei, looked at Long Fei, who seemed to have been scooped out of a pool of blood, and tightly furrowed his brows. Didn't he win? Nothing in his body was good. Every pore, every millimeter of the body is awound. Nor did Ling Qi this kind of injury would cause one to tremble in fear and feel incomparable pain at the sight of it. Bring me to the peak of the Azure Dragon. Long Fei's aura was incredibly weak. However, he was still thinking about the leopard girl. During the course of the day, a wild figure would always appear in Long Fei's mind, shuttling through the forest. His body was wrapped in leopard skin, and he had a long ponytail. The javelin was in his hand. Simple. I like to laugh. Furthermore, in that scene, she kept calling out to her husband. Her husband. Who is she? But Long Fei didn't know. He firmly believed that this must have something to do with his previous life. He let the leopard girl wait at the peak of the blue mist. He promised to take her out of the Zhanglan continent and let her enter the universal realm. The slovenly old man added, Yes, I'll go to the peak of the blue mist now and release the power of the flying into the virtual. Kid, you can't die. I will definitely send you to the universal realm. Long Fei did not speak. He didn't have the strength to speak. A few minutes later, boom, the slovenly old man brought Long Fei and landed on the peak of the blue mist. The leopard girl also ran up. Long Fei revealed his blood-stained teeth and gently smiled. I said I would bring you away from here. The leopard girl was moved. She gently shook her head as tears welled up in the corners of her eyes. The slovenly old man continued, Prepare yourself. I want to draw upon the power of the flying into the virtual. There's only one chance. The slovenly old man said seriously. Long Fei smiled lightly as he looked at the leopard girl. Did you hear that clearly? The slovenly old man continued, I can only send you to the universal realm and not the two of you. Long Fei said strenuously, I know. Besides, I won't let you sacrifice yourself to help me. I use my own strength. As soon as he finished, Long Fei suddenly stood up. The idea moved. Activate the power of the flying into the virtual. Thank you for your support. Chapter 27:10 Heavenly Tribulation Bombs. Chapter 27:10 Heavenly Tribulation Bombs. Long Fei would definitely do what he had promised. Who was the leopard girl? What did it have to do with him? Was she one of the beauty's quests in the super mission, the 7 Meridians diagram? I don't know. All of this was unknown to Long Fei. However, he had to do all this for the leopard girl because he didn't want to make her sad. From her eyes, Long Fei could feel that no matter what he did, he wouldn't be able to replace the position that the man from the universal realm had in her heart. Irreplaceable. He had to do it. As long as he was happy, following the release of an idea, the aura of power from Long Fei's body directly surged into the sky. The slovenly old man's eyes sank. Kid, have you gone mad? Your body is unable to withstand it at all right now. You will die. Stop right now. Stop quickly. He never thought that Long Fei would actually use his own flying into the virtual. His body was simply unable to withstand the baptism of heavenly tribulation. Once he couldn't take it anymore, he would die and vanish into thin air. The baptism of heavenly tribulation. Wash away the lead on the Songlan plain, wash away the restraints of law, and use a new body to enter a new world. However, the baptism of heavenly tribulation was extremely powerful. If it were simple, then no one at the great, complete realm would dare to stir up heavenly tribulation. Furthermore, Long Fei was currently seriously injured and was almost on the verge of death. This kind of body state was completely unable to withstand the baptism of heavenly tribulation. The leopard girl said, anxiously, If you stop, you will die. The tears in the corner of his eyes were uncontrollable. Long Fei smiled lightly and said, Don't worry, I will definitely accomplish what I promised you. Long Fei was really afraid. The only thing he was afraid of was because he was smashed into smithereens of the heavenly tribulation, turning him into ashes. There was nothing at all. He was afraid of the powerhouse of the great perfection stage, and also afraid of the pain of the backlash from the black rather than white power to ashes. If that was the case, then there was nothing he could do. Seeing the roiling clouds, he wanted to do what he had promised. As much as powerhouse as clenched their fists tightly, their eyes locked. Rumble. The clouds above the ninth heaven started to move. An explosion sounded in the air. And the clouds started to move. At the peak of the lightning started to wreak violent winds constantly flashing, causing the entire Songlan recklessly across the air. Someone is transcending tribulation, crushing down. Someone is triggering the celestial looking at the rolling sky. Long Fei heavily shouted. Is it the president of the Songlan College? Rumble. It's at the peak of the blue mist. The rolling clouds produced another sky-piercing explosion, tribulation, and the lightning was like a huge python. The slovenly old man stared at the scene before him, stirred, his heart trembling. Countless people from the Songlan contracted in the air, and fear began to rise in his heart. Blue mist. Countless people were shocked. Heavenly tribulation. How many years had it been since someone heavily swallowed his saliva? He had never seen a celestial tribulation before. I don't even know what kind of power it is. But now, it seemed the celestial tribulation was simply too powerful. Formidable strength. The slovenly old man said heavily, Quick, quick, retreat. You won't be able to take it. Faster. The leopard girl also advised, "Can you stop? I'm not going to the universal realm. I'm not going. I'll stay here." Long Fei grinned and laughed softly, saying, "I promised you I will definitely do it. Also, I can't stop." How could the activation of heavenly tribulation come to a halt? Long Fei shifted his gaze to the slovenly old man and said, "A person undergoing a tribulation should be fearless. There should not be a trace of fear in your heart, and any trace of fear will cause your mind to collapse. Bring it on." With a roar, Long Fei, who was seated cross-legged, suddenly stood up, one finger pointing to the sky. His index finger moved, the corner of his mouth slightly hooked up, forming a very handsome posture. Long Fei said solemnly, "If you have the guts, go ahead and hack this daddy to death." Walala! A series of sounds of space shattering exploded. The entire sky seemed to be splitting apart. At the center of the vortex, a ray of Xuanabai's light shot towards the top of Long Fei's head like a bolt of lightning. It was extremely huge and practically covered the entire Canglan city. Too powerful. Was he undergoing a tribulation? This was killing. The light in the sky was blinding. The powerhouse floating in the air was instantly crushed and fell down. The entire Canglan city was in a state of panic as countless people covered their heads and scurried away. They were frantically fleeing for their lives. "Quickly run. The heavenly tribulation is coming. Run. I won't be able to protect the Canglan city anymore. Oh my God, this is heavenly tribulation. This is the legendary god's suffering force. This is the power of destruction." Fighters ran, children cried, women screamed. Canglan city was thrown into chaos. The power of the heavenly tribulation was too strong. With such a strike, the entire Canglan city would probably be reduced to ruins. Long Fei's gaze tensed up, his body continuously sunk, his knees trembling uncontrollably. At this moment, in the instant the first heavenly tribulation descended, it was as though a heavy sky had pressed down on his shoulders, heavily crushing him as if wanting to crush him to his knees. The weight of 100,000 mountains, the weight of 1,000,000 mountains, tens of thousands of mountains. Long Fei's body had countless of wounds on it, and just like that, the pain caused the wound to burst open even more. Fresh blood violently spurted out again, and with his knees slightly bent, Long Fei's eyes turned sinister as he cursed loudly. "You want me to kneel? You're not even F*** king qualified." The moment he exerted strength, a root took root beneath his feet. In an instant, Long Fei firmly stabbed into the ground. At this moment, the sky seemed to be enraged. The first heavenly tribulation heavily attacked. Xuanabai's light aura instantly enveloped Long Fei, or more accurately speaking, it should be covering half of the Canglan continent. Everything was within the dazzling light. Everything was white. As for Long Fei, who was at the center of the heavenly tribulation, at this moment his physical body, his mind, his sea of consciousness, everything within his body was violently surging. Long Fei's eyes suddenly bulged. He clenched his fists tightly. Crack! The sound of joints bursting exploded. At the same time, he tightly clenched his teeth, as if he was about to shatter them. Ah, ah, ah. Endless power exploded in his body. They exploded. The scene was like 100 cannon bombardment. His entire body felt unspeakably uncomfortable. In just a few seconds, it felt as if several centuries had passed. Long Fei roared. He roared with all his might. Buzz. The moment the white light returned, Long Fei's body sank, and both of his hands directly pressed against the ground. Blood continuously gushed out of his throat. It's 2F***king unbearable. Chapter 27:11, Dragon Scale Splitting. Chapter 27:11, Dragon Scale Splitting. Rumble. 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 The white light slowly returned to the 9 heavens, and the sound of explosions slowly spread in the sky. The white light disappeared. Everything in Sanglan City was normal. There wasn't the slightest bit of damage. I'm still alive. Ha ha ha. I'm not dead. I'm still alive. I'm not dead. Woo. Woo woo. Asterisk, I thought I was going to die. I'm still alive. Many people hugged their heads as they cried out in grief. There were also many people cheering, celebrating that they were still alive. In front of the power of heavenly tribulation, they appeared so small and insignificant, their fates in the hands of others. No one was affected by the white light except for the tribesmen. Hoo 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 hoo. Hoo 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 hoo. Long Fei gasped so much that blood seemed to spurt out from his wounds. His face was pale white. Both of his hands supported himself on the ground, continuously dripping blood from the corner of his mouth. The internal organs beneath his chest were still rolling. Within the sea of consciousness, the power within the mind was still surging, unable to take care of itself. Are you all right? Seeing Long Fei's pained expression, she clenched her fists tightly, her nails digging into her flesh and blood dripping down. She hated herself. He hated himself for being weak. It was useless to hate him. Even though he was unable to help Long Fei in his previous life, he was still a burden to others in his current life. Even in this reincarnated life, her talent was still the same. Long Fei smiled lightly, shook his head, and said, "It's fine. Just this kind of heavenly tribulation isn't enough to kill lousy, hee." He would never tell anyone about his pain. If he was a man, he had to endure it. The slovenly old man said anxiously, "This is just the first heavenly tribulation, and is a testing God's suffering force. The following speed will be very fast, and won't give you any time to breathe. You can't continue." The slovenly old man did not know what to do. He did not know how to help Long Fei. The fearlessness, the way he treated the heavenly tribulation
You are a leopard
like
girl.
trash made
You
him
are a
admire
wild
it to the
panther.
extreme.
How
No
can you
one could do
cry?
that.
After
Long Fei
this,
replied,
you can't cry
"Don't
anymore."
worry, I'll be fine."
Long Face
The
said
leopard girl shook her
indifferently.
head.
The
I'm not
leopard
going to the
girl
universal
bit
realm.
her tongue.
I'm not
She
going.
wanted to cry.
I'm begging
Wanted
you,
to
can you
cry,
stop? But when she
I'm
saw
not going,
Long Fei's
please.
expression, she
Her
forced
tears
herself
never
to stop.
stopped.
Suddenly,
Long Fei looked
she
at her,
discovered that the
and the
man's
mission
eyes were very
exclamation
familiar,
mark
as if he
floating
was the
above her
person she
head.
was looking for
It
in
still
her
had
heart.
not been activated.
That's more like it.
Long Fei thought.
looked at the leopard
Seems
girl
like it
while holding
really
back
is
her
so.
tears. He
There
turned
is a
and stood up
person in her
and
heart
heavily said
that,
"Come,
I am
use
destined
all
to
of your
never be
strength
able
on
to
this
replace."
daddy."
Rumble.
Zhang Xian smiled
Rumble.
bitterly in his heart.
Rumble.
However, the sky
Long
began to
Fei
rage
did not
again,
let go as
not
he
giving the
gently
leopard
wiped
girl
away
a
the
chance
tears
to
on the
think.
leopard girl's
Above
face and
9
said,
days,
"Don't worry,
the center
I
of
will
the
be
rolling
fine.
clouds
I will
was like
send you
a
to
divine
universal
eye.
realm."
Divine light lingered, and white light flashed. Then the rolling clouds began to crack. Kacha, kacha, rumble. Yet another massive bolt of lightning descended. The corners of Long Fei's eyes turned sinister as he pointed to the sky and shouted, "Come!" Boom. The second god's suffering force bombarded down. The leopard girl was sent flying by a powerful shockwave. The slovenly old man was also sent flying by that powerful force. White light enveloped him. The lightning from the 9th heaven struck right on top of Long Fei's head and directly seeped into his body from the top of his head. Boom, boom. His entire body frantically rolled. Puffed. Long Fei spat out a mouthful of fresh blood. It was as if all the skin on his body had split apart, and the power in his body had turned his body transparent. Veins, veins. A light smash would cause it to crack. Ah! Long Fei roared out. Again. Boom. The third celestial tribulation descended. Boom. The fourth heavenly tribulation has descended. Boom, boom, boom. One heavenly tribulation after another came crashing down on Long Fei's head, each time crushing him heavily, wanting to crush Long Fei to his knees. But Long Fei endured every single time. Every time he did, the wounds on his body would rupture. Boom. The 37th bolt. Rumble. It exploded on Long Fei's body. Crack. With a crisp sound, as though his bones had been fractured. Long Fei's pupils dilated, and his entire body shuddered. He could not help but let out a painful scream. Just a moment ago, the blood-red dragon's scale cracked open. It was as if the scales had been pulled out and were dripping with blood. It was incomparably painful. Long Fei's entire body was covered in blood-colored scales. This was an extremely strong defense, but he couldn't take it anymore either. Rumble. The 38th heavenly tribulation descended. Kacha, kacha, ka. The number of blood-colored scales shattered and rose into the air. The pain was akin to using a pair of pincers to catch a scale and pull it out, as if he was trying to pull his nails out. Pain. An indescribable pain. He was in so much pain. It was too hard to bear. Moreover, ever since the first scale had cracked, the blood-colored dragon scales on Long Fei's body started to loosen up, as if they were falling and separating one after another. The leopard girl shouted from the side, "Stop! No! Stop, I'm begging you! God, please don't be so cruel! God, I beg of you!" The leopard girl cried like she was in tears. The slovenly old man sat paralyzed on the ground, his eyes lifeless. Heaven calamity! How can it be like this? Too strong. There is no such heavenly tribulation recorded in the entire Tsanglan continent. Why is that so? Rumble, rumble, rumble. Each celestial tribulation was faster than the last. Long Fei stood there, the dragon scales on his body breaking bit by bit. His entire body was now covered in blood, and under the cover of blood, the curse marks on his body became even more sinister. Long Fei also looked abnormally eerie. His aura fluctuated from time to time. Long Fei looked like a dead man. He stood there motionlessly, allowing the heavenly tribulation to strike him. Dead. Everyone looked at him and asked, "Is he dead?" "He should be dead. I haven't moved for such a long time. He should be dead." Chapter 27:12 FUCK. N.O. enough? Chapter 27:12 FUCK. N.O. enough? Dozens of waves of heavenly tribulation struck down. Long Fei remained motionless. There was no reaction at all. Even the sound of pain could not be heard. He was like a dead man. In addition, his entire body was covered in blood, and every inch of his body was filled with wounds. Even his eyes were filled with blood, and it was impossible to discern his expression. Was it pain or die? Rumble. Yet another heavenly tribulation descended. Crack, crack. The last few dragon scales on Long Fei's body cracked. There was no cry of pain. Everything seemed to have gone numb. It's the 80th. It's already at the 80th god's suffering force. There's still one more. Is he dead? Not a single movement. What's going on? In the history of the Tsanglan continent, there has never been such a heavenly tribulation in the 9 sky force. It is simply too cruel. Who can endure such a heavenly tribulation? Passing the tribulation? I'm afraid no one in the Tsanglan continent would dare to go through the tribulation again. This is F*** King courting death. The Tsanglan city was silent. Everyone looked at the direction of the peak of the blue mist towards the sky. The roiling clouds above the 9 heavens were still there. This meant that the calamity was not over yet. The last of the 9 sets was the most powerful, and possessed the power to exterminate all. It could be said, it was much stronger than the combined power of the 80 heavenly tribulations. If this one attack was used, then all of them would be annihilated. At the peak of the blue mist, the leopard girl looked at the crumbling Long Fei and said slightly, "No, let's go home. I'll take you home." As he spoke, he moved forward. However, the celestial tribulation had yet to come to an end, and the leopard girl was simply unable to approach it. As she drew near, she was sent flying by a surge of energy. Bang! The leopard girl's body flew away and landed heavily on the ground. The leopard girl acted as if it didn't hurt at all. She crawled back up and ran back up again, saying, "Let's go home. I'm not going to the universal realm. Let's go home." Bam! Yet another knock flew. The leopard girl smashed into the ground and spat out a mouthful of blood. However, she crawled back up and walked forward once more as she said, "Let's go home. We're going home." Bam! He was sent flying once again. The slovenly old man's gaze tightened. The celestial tribulation is still continuing. There's still one last thing. It is also the most powerful Tao. What should we do? Master, immortal Master Lu Yuan, tell me, what should we do now? He was completely panicked. He didn't know what to do in this situation. At this moment, Puchi, a mouthful of black blood flowed out from the corner of Long Fei's mouth. He raised his eyes with much difficulty, looked at the clouds that were rolling in the sky, and said softly, "Is this all you've got?" So weak. The voice was low. However, Long Fei's voice was like a thunderclap that exploded in everyone's minds. "He's still alive. He's still alive. Ha ha ha. He's still alive. He's too strong. My God, how is this possible? 80 gods suffering force as bombarding a heavily injured person. How freaking abnormal is this guy? Did you hear that? What was he saying just now? What are you saying to the heavenly tribulation? So weak. Ha ha ha." These words were too King cool and unbridled. They were simply looking down on the heavenly tribulation. Ha ha. I'm too excited. It feels so good. Even heavenly tribulation is being looked down upon. Ha ha ha. The baptism of heavenly tribulation creates a rule. Do you want to stop the martial artists from becoming stronger? It doesn't exist. Ha ha ha. Too weak. The word weak and explosive had ignited the unwillingness in the hearts of all martial artists. That kind of heart that would never back down in a life or death situation. These few words were like a bucket of chicken blood being poured into his body. Rise. There's still the last one. We have to endure it. You have to hold on. F*CK, his son of TCH's heavenly tribulation. You have to hold on. At this time, almost everyone wanted Long Fei to resist. Everyone looked at Long Fei with extreme excitement and nervousness. His heavily injured body activated the divine retribution. Instead of decreasing the power of the heavenly tribulation, it would be the 9 sky force. Its power was indescribably strong. Just like that, Long Fei endured. It was incomparably firm. Now, there was only one tribulation left. This was the most important one, and the most powerful one of the 9 sets. The combined power of the first 80 paths of divine retribution. Boom, boom, boom. The clouds above the 9 heavens began to swirl, and streams of power began to erupt from the 9 heavens. Slowly, they were released, and the entire Ash Wolf continent was shaken by this explosive sound. It was as though this power seemed to be able to destroy Xanglan continent. Countless people were swallowing their saliva, staring at the sky while clenching their fists tightly, as if they were undergoing a heavenly tribulation. The last one The corner of Long Fei's eyes slightly narrowed. At this moment, no one knew how bad he was feeling. No one knew how weak he was right now. It was as if he could easily be killed by a level 1 monster. It was painful, very painful. However, he had to endure it. He had to be strong. In the end, even if it costs his life, he has to endure it. Long Fei's heart sank, then stared at the leopard girl and said, "I'm ready. I'll be able to send you to Universal Realms soon." The task was still not activated. The exclamation mark on the leopard girl's head was still there. Last hope. It should be gone. Long Fei did not regret it. The leopard girl cried and shook her head. She kept telling Long Fei to stop and kept saying that she wasn't going to the Universal Realm. However, the heavenly tribulation began. If one didn't die, then it wouldn't end midway. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The power above the 9th heaven began to roar. The million km of sky above Songlan continent seemed to be splitting apart. The entire world was shaking. He's here. He's here. The last God's suffering force is here. Long Fei's body sank heavily. Bring it on. It was also at this time. The slovenly old man suddenly sat down cross-legged. He closed his eyes slightly and said softly, "I understand now. I know what to do." The idea moved. Buzz. In a split second, the clouds above his head also began to swirl. However, very subtle, it could be said that the clouds above Long Fei's head were nothing compared to his 9 sky force. He couldn't see it at all. Crack! A bolt of lightning streaked through the sky. Immediately after, a super god's suffering force flew over at a breakneck speed, not giving Long Fei any chance to react at all. Long Fei's body suddenly sank. His knees were about to drop to the ground. Moreover, in this instant, another god's suffering force came smashing down. Originally, Long Fei's body wouldn't be able to take it. The power of the final 999 heavenly tribulation was too strong, but he didn't even have the chance to endure it. The 82nd celestial tribulation struck out. They were trying to kill him. At this moment, beneath Long Fei's right arm, a strand of power flashed out from within the dragon-shaped mark. This power bellowed angrily, "Damn it, there's no end to it. Is there? Thank you for your support." It was also possible that he would never appear again, but what was the consequence? He did not know the black and white either. Long Fei asked, "Then what do we do now? You're so strong. Can you save me now?" Black and white shook their heads. "No, I've already saved you once. We can't attack again. The more times I act, the more difficult the road ahead of you will be." It was just like how the difficulty of a game increased. The more people helped him, the more difficult the game would be. Long Fei said, "Then I'm still dead for sure." Black and white looked up at the sky. "No, you have successfully crossed the tribulation. As long as you are willing, you can step into a new plane of existence. Universal Realm." The clouds of the 9th floor retreated. The god's suffering force dissipated. A ray of light from the 9th heaven descended. This is the light of extradition. As long as Long Fei moved, he would be able to enter the Universal Realm right now, bringing along 10 billion experience. At that time, if you could level up just by crushing a mosquito, you would be able to fully recover. This was the only way for him to survive. Long Fei raised his eyes, seeing the light that was pouring down from the sky. He felt it and said, "Is this the aura of the Universal Realm?" It's really different. It was like the spring breeze. Black and white said, "What are you waiting for? Why aren't you going up? You wouldn't really give this opportunity to a woman, would you? Kid, there are all kinds of women in Universal Realm. They are much more beautiful than her. Don't be stupid." At this moment, Monochrome was also getting nervous. He was unable to make a choice for Long Fei. Once Long Fei made the leopard girl use her flying into the virtual, then Long Fei would really die. By her side, the leopard girl also raised her head to look at the sky. Looking at the divine light pouring down from the sky, her heart slightly throbbed. In her heart, she longed for it, because as long as she entered the universal realm, she would be in the same world as her beloved person, and there would be a day when they meet again. It was just that. In the next second, the leopard girl looked away and saw the bloodied Long Fei shaking her head, and said, "No, no, no, I can't go, I can't go." Long Fei chuckled. "I will definitely accomplish what I've promised you. Go find him." He didn't know why. Giving up the chance to live. Stupid. However, but Long Fei felt that he was just too awesome. In the past, it had always been him wanting a woman. That woman would always like him, but now he met a woman that he liked but did not like. A woman he was willing to give. The most important thing was his memory of the leopard girl's wild, cheerful nature, which he would never forget. The leopard girl shook her head and said, "You risked your life for this. How can I?" Long Fei replied, "It's all right as long as you're happy. Go. If I don't go now, the extradition divine light will disappear. I definitely won't go." Long Fei looked very determined. The universal realm doesn't want to go. After escaping from Zhan Wu continent, the place he wanted to go the most was universal realm. How could he not want to go? Black and White also said heavily, "Are you crazy? You will die. We can't let her go." Long Fei said in his heart, "As you said just now, this is my path. Naturally, I will take my own path." Black and White said, "What the hell are you doing? You're going to die. What other path are you going to take? Look at how weak you are right now. All of the dragon scales on your body have been pulled out." Long Fei did not bother about her. With a smile still hanging on his face, he looked at the leopard girl and said, "Go, I'll be fine. If you don't go, then it'll really be a waste. Hurry up and go." The leopard girl slightly moved. Her eyes teared up as she kept saying, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry." The person in her heart could not be replaced. She could no longer fall in love with anyone else. Even if someone was willing to risk their life for her, she couldn't, because that man had already taken root in her heart for more than 100 years. Long Fei said, "You don't need to say this. Hurry up and go." Buzz. The leopard girl cried as she walked into the divine light. Rumble. The divine light enveloped the leopard girl's body. Chapter 27:14, Memory Awakening. Chapter 27:14, Memory Awakening, Buzz. With a hum, a divine light enveloped the leopard girl. At this moment, everyone was stunned. What does he want to do? Could it be? Is he undergoing his tribulation for this woman? It can't be. What's so good about such a crazy wild woman? The Nine Sky Force was almost exchanged for it with one's life, for someone else. This. Is there something wrong with this person's head? He's too handsome. How come I didn't meet such a good man? The fat woman, who weighed more than 150 kilograms, said with infatuation in her eyes, "Handsome my ass. If he were to send that woman up there, he would have died. He's not handsome, he's sick. What do you know? This is what love is like. Although he is going to die, he is willing to use his own life to help others. This is fulfillment. This is true love." The people on the Tsanglan continent looked at the summit of the blue mist, and all of them were very surprised. No one would be like Long Fei. He would gamble with his cultivation base for the rest of his life, gamble with his life, and bear the consequences. Passing the tribulation, flying into the virtual. who would give away their entire life's cultivation in exchange for their own life. Not to mention a lover, even a husband and wife, even a father and son, no matter how close and intimate a relationship was. It wouldn't be like this. There had never been one in the history of Songlan continent. No one would do that. 9 Sky Force, just a slight mistake, and it would disappear into thin air. Once he succeeded, there will definitely be a major baptism. No matter if it's innate talent or physical body, they will all undergo a metamorphosis on the premise that you want the flying into the virtual. Give it to someone else just like that. This was really stupid. The baptism of heavenly tribulation had yielded results that had been handed over to others. It is not permissible in principle. It was also because no one would give it up to others. Forget about the blue mist plane. Even if one looked at the millions of planes under the jurisdiction of the universal realm, no one would do such a thing. It was the same. Only then would it form a BUG and allow others to use flying into the virtual. The consequence of this was that those who transcended tribulation would definitely die. The black and white throats of those who shouted turned hoarse as they flew into a rage. Are you crazy? Do you really want her to replace you? You've got water in your brain. Do you know the consequences of that? Have you thought about it? You will die. You will be the same as me. No, you're not even comparable to the me from before. At least, I was once the pinnacle person in this world. What are you now? Failed as soon as I got here. It was as if he had gone mad. Long Fei did not understand what they were saying at all. He knew. The divine light pulled the leopard girl into the air, and she instantly disappeared. It was also at this time that the entire world returned to calm. But the leopard girl's last sentence was heard echoing in the air for a long time. His name is Long Fei. His name is Long Fei. His name is Long Fei. Streams of energy continuously spread out until it was like a sound wave that covered the entire Songlan continent. His name is Long Fei. He is called Long Fei. Long Fei was stunned in place. His gaze was a little dazed, and he could not react in time. His name is Long Fei? Long Fei. Long Fei's gaze suddenly tensed up. He raised his eyes, looked straight into the sky, and shouted fiercely, "Leopard girl!" At this moment, in Long Fei's mind, a strand of memory rose from the depths of his memory, and the memory exploded. In this instant, Long Fei's mind stirred, and he remembered everything that had happened in the hundreds of thousands of barren mountains, the demon territories. At this moment, the memories of the leopard girl were completely awakened in his mind. However, it was only limited to the leopard girl's memories. As for the other people's memories, they were all still in the seal. However, he knew who he was. Long Fei, the son of Long Zhanting, the grandson of Crazy Long. The first place he crossed over was not the Zhenwu continent, but the gods' martial continent. Just what is in my memory? Why? Damn it, God's tribe. Other than what happened in hundreds of thousands of barren mountains, Long Fei still had the memories of the leopard girl's choice to enter the reincarnation cycle and wait for Long Fei. 100 years. All of this was because of the gods' tribe. It was also at this time, when the black and white felt the hostility in Long Fei's heart, they sighed lightly and said, "Even if your memories are awakened, it's useless. You're going to die." The slovenly old man moved his idea and instantly held Long Fei in the air. Long Fei's body became light and immediately flew up. Dean succeeded in transcending tribulation. Why did the dean become so foolish? It's that fellow. Principal, are you crazy? I'm your brother. Even if you want to give me back, give it to me. Dean, you old fool, let me soar. Let me stop, let me soar. As if they had gone mad. the people from the Tsanglan College, all rushed towards the summit of the blue mist. Long Fei floated up, bowed to the slovenly old man, and said with a heavy voice, "Thank you." "Ha ha ha." The slovenly old man laughed loudly and said, "Kid, if it wasn't for you, even I wouldn't have been able to successfully transcend this tribulation. You're right. Life and death are less important. If you don't agree, then do it. Too much fear will cause you to fall into a quagmire. Go, make a name for yourself in Universal Realm." He did not know Long Fei's identity. If Long Fei wanted to enter the Universal Realm, it would not be as simple as barging into a whole new world, but to immediately flip everything over. Monochrome was also excited. "Ha ha ha, ha ha ha. Not dead, not dead. Unexpectedly, ha ha ha. Your luck is really quite good. However, your physical body and the God's tribe's curse mark on your body. I have to find a way to change it. The current universal realm is different from the previous universal realm. God's tribe is still too strong for you, but don't worry. When I gather all of your brothers, I will kill all of you." Long Fei looked at the sky, looked at the eye of void flying out, and clenched his fists tightly. "Universal realm, your father is here." Just as the guards had said, they were nothing here. They were just a bunch of useless trash. Ha ha ha, ha ha ha, ha ha ha. The guards began to laugh loudly, laughing in a very complacent manner. "Are you going too far?" The sturdy man quickly got up and kneeled down. He kowtowed and begged for mercy. "No, no, 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 no. Please spare my life, my lord. Please spare my life, my lord." The guard said, "You are a piece of trash yourself, but now you have become a cripple. What use do you think the universal realm would want a cripple like you for? Drag him out and hand him over to Lord Shi-Fa." "Yes, sir." With that, two black-robed men suddenly walked out of the unholy long corridor, holding a curved sickle in their hands. Without waiting for the sturdy man to react, the sickle moved. Crack! Crack! The two of them directly stabbed into his chest and dragged him away, not even sparing a glance at the strong man. "No, no, Lord, spare me. I beg you, spare me. I spent more than 300 years chasing after the peak of martial arts. I finally succeeded in transcending the tribulation, and I didn't even manage to enter the universal realm. I can't just die like this. I'm begging you, I'm begging you." Buzz. He was dragged straight into the void. The voice vanished as well. After a few seconds, everything returned to normal, as if nothing had happened. However, those people walking in the corridor did not dare to show any signs of unrest. He didn't dare to be slow either. These guards were in control of their lives. Lord Shi-Fa. That person is dead for sure. Who is the Lord Shi-Fa? You haven't even heard of Universal Realms, Lord Shi-Fa. You've heard of it. Of course I have. My cousin sent a message to me telling me to be careful in the first stage of the primordial trial. By all means, do not provoke the Lord Shi-Fa. Who is he? He is an evil spirit pill refiner, someone who specializes in refining pills, and he guards the first stage of grand miscultivation. *CK. Use people for alchemy. Using a person's profound chi, blood vein, talent, and even a person's life force, he can refine all kinds of powerful medicinal pellets, increasing lifespan, increasing profound chi and blood vein, and can also increase your talent. He is a powerful alchemy master. Stop. We're almost there. Amongst the crowd, Long Fei was a little weak and slowly walked forward like a sick person. Although the slovenly old man had used the divine light of extradition to enter the netherworld, the wounds on his body were still there and had not recovered. At this moment, he kept looking around, hoping to find the leopard girl in the crowd. However, there were too many people in the corridor, just like the ghosts in the underworld. Chapter 27:18. Who's afraid of the alchemy? Chapter 27:18. Who's afraid of the alchemy? Hundreds of outer space powerhouse. One person had 100 million experience. 10 billion experience points leaked out of Long Fei's current experience slot. Because of the restrictions of the dimensional realm, he was no longer able to break through. However, as long as he could squash a mosquito and kill an ant, Long Fei would be able to level up and release 10 billion experience points. But there were no mosquitoes or ants in this dark room. There was only one alchemy monster. This alchemy monster was a little boss whose body was glowing with a golden light. If he could kill it, then nothing would be a problem. Long Fei stood up and walked over. The man kept shaking his head. He knew what was inside when he came out. If Long Fei went in, he would die. Seeing Long Fei walk forward, the wretched old man's eyes flashed with a bright light. He laughed sinisterly. Now that's more obedient, the more comfortable it is. Don't worry, it will end soon. The old leader led Long Fei into the darkness. Long Fei looked at the old man's back and didn't know why, but he saw that bloody wound on the top of his head. Long Fei kept feeling that there was a pair of eyes staring straight at him from the old man's back. Moreover, Long Fei could not find an opportunity to attack. Just as he was about to enter the pill house, Long Fei knew that if he did not act soon, he would not have the chance. I'm going all out. The idea moved. Long Fei clenched his right hand tightly, supreme dragon knife energy. Boom! In that instant, Long Fei used all his strength and chopped heavily at the old man's head. One slash split the old man's body into two. One slash in 1 second. Long Fei's pupils suddenly shrank rapidly. The old man disappeared. At this moment, a layer of cold sweat seeped out of Long Fei's back. Then I'll let you suffer enough. Without waiting for Long Fei's response, the old man kicked Long Fei's body. Long Fei staggered and rushed forward. And at this moment, buzz! A vault door fell down. Rumble! The flames soared to the sky, and the place where Long Fei was had instantly combusted. It was exceptionally pressing and scorching, causing Long Fei's mind to abruptly shake as well. Pill furnace! This is a pill furnace! Wallala! 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 As the flames continued to rise, the old man's sinister voice sounded. You're right, this is the pill furnace, and, alchemy? That's great. Understood alchemy, refined into a medicinal pellet. Hee. Wallala! Wallala! The flame roared even more. This was a huge pill furnace, at least 2 stories high. This was the first time Long Fei saw such a large cauldron. Since it's a pill furnace, there must be an exit, or perhaps a place with a lid. Long Fei looked at the lid on his head and pushed it open. Boom! Without waiting for him to jump up, a powerful force came crashing down from the furnace. They didn't even give him a chance to react. Bam! It smashed straight into the ground. Long Fei said as blood trickled down the corner of his mouth. Ha ha ha! Ha ha ha! Brat, do you think that anyone can break through my pill furnace? This is the universal realm. It is your honor to have a muggle from a lower plane like yours refined into a pill. Understand? The old man smiled proudly and immediately used up all his strength in the pill furnace. Wallala! The flames immediately engulfed Long Fei. Hiss! Long Fei's body was completely red. This won't do. If this goes on, I really will be burned to death. I must think of a way to get out. Old man, Don't let me out, or I'll definitely let you have a taste of what it is like to be inside it. Longfei said, fiercely. He was waiting. If he was used as a primer, he would definitely be thrown into another spirit grass. As long as the lid was opened, everything in the furnace would stop moving. The old man laughed. I can assure you that you won't be able to come out. Ha ha ha. Longfei sat cross-legged. His entire body was scarlet red. Originally, his scales had been stripped bare, and he was in unbearable pain. But now, being burned in the flames was an extremely difficult test for his body to bear. Then again, he was brought here without a transmission array. This way, his heavenly tribulation baptism wouldn't be able to take place, and his body wouldn't be able to change. The road of cultivation in the future would be even more difficult. Longfei clenched his teeth and held his breath. Hold on for dear life. Time passed by second. 10 minutes later, the old man saw that there was no response from the furnace, so he smiled coldly and said, It should have been refined by now, right? He opened the cover of the demonic ghost grass in his hand. At this moment, Longfei's eyes suddenly opened, using all of his strength to rush towards the lid. I will kill you when I go out. The old man was slightly startled. Ouch! I didn't expect you to be so resistant to heat. He actually didn't die. Good. It seems like with your inherent skill, your blood vein are pretty good. This way, you'll be able to refine even more powerful plague pill. Boom! Just as Longfei was about to rush out, the old man flipped his right hand and a huge amount of energy came crushing down. Buzz! Longfei was flung back. At the same time, the evil spirit demonic grass quickly turned into a pill furnace. The old man laughed. Boy, enjoy yourself. Enjoy yourself slowly under the plague. Walala. The moment the demonic ghost grass was thrown into the pill furnace, the spirit liquid instantly exploded. This was completely different from the alchemy technique that Longfei had come into contact with before. In an instant, the pill furnace turned into a vast ocean. He only wanted to live, to not be corroded by the demonic spirit grass's venom, to not be burned to death by the flames, and only wanted to live. Who would have thought that by a stroke of luck he would be able to form a pill with his body? Longfei slightly said, Very strong. Why didn't I feel it? Black and White said, Everything has a process. Even if you use your body to form a pill, you still have a long way to go. Longfei said, Let's not talk about this for now. How can I recover my real face after what you have told me? Black and White paused for a moment before saying, About this. Everything is up to you. He had never cultivated such a realm before. How would he know? F***. Longfei contemptuously said, So even you don't know? Monochrome did not speak. Longfei kept on pondering. What exactly do I need to do? Rob. The idea moved. Recover to real face. No response. The system also did not react. Longfei tried again, but it was still the same. The idea could not be controlled. Moreover, this was not controlled by the system. It could only be controlled by oneself. This was a bit of a pain in the ass. Tsk tisk. A series of sinister sneers came from outside the pill furnace. Are there no movements? Did you refine it? Hee. The two slaves dragged a few more people into the room. Master, send 2 more over. Lord Tianfeng wants you to send the money over. Shi Fa waved his right hand and a space ring appeared. He said, Send it over. Tell him that I'm very satisfied with today's goods. The excess Grand Mist crystals are for him. Understood, Master. A black slave entered the darkness. Old man Shi Fa said, Activate shuttle, target western regions. A black slave said, Understood, Master. The The black slaves were like robots. The Westlaw's orders were orders. With a slight tremble, the flying shuttle was activated. In half an hour, the plague pill will be refined. The Eastern Emperor of the Western regions has spent 10 million grand mist crystals. At that time, we'll be able to earn another fortune. Ha ha ha. I wonder who he wants to use the plague pill against. Who cares who he goes against? Who the fuck cares about me? There are so many people in the universal realm. It would be best if I just die a little more. That way I can obtain an endless amount of materials. Hee hee. Sifa laughed grimly. Long Fei did not know what was happening outside. Similarly, no one knew what happened inside the pill furnace. However, Long Fei could feel all the light vibrations as if they were floating in the air and were going to teleport out in an instant. After that, he didn't have much of a feeling. How can I change back? I won't keep being this pill in the future, right? What if someone eats it? Then will I turn into excrement? Thinking about that scene, Long Fei trembled. He kept trying to find a solution in the system as well as in his own body, but no matter how hard Long Fei tried, he just could not find a way. There was no way to recover the real face at all. Half an hour passed. TSK Tisk. Have I finished refining my plague pill? Sifa laughed excitedly. And then the lid of the pill furnace slightly moved. At this moment, Long Fei's mind immediately tensed up and thought to himself, maybe if I kill him, I can, not waiting for him to finish. Just as the lid of the pill furnace was completely opened, a system notification rang out. Ding. System notification. Do you wish to recover real face? Holy SH *T. Long Fei almost cried. So you need to open the pill furnace in order to activate it. That's so scary, a baby. If we can both use the same pill in the future, how can we continue to act cool? How can we continue to flirt with girls? Thank God for God's blessing. Since he could recover his real face, Long Fei calmed down. He wasn't in a hurry. Right now, Long Fei was not in a hurry at all, because he was waiting for a perfect opportunity, a chance to kill him in one blow. Seeing that he was taken out from the pill furnace by the Western Elder, Long Fei laughed sinisterly in his heart. Chapter 27:20, Small Boss. Chapter 27:20, Small Boss. A first-rate product. His looks are first-rate. The medicinal effects. TSK. Could it be that my evil spirit alchemy technique has broken through again? This plague pill has simply reached the realm of a grade 7 profound core. Ha ha ha. Sifa was pleased with himself. He had never refined such a good pill. He even thought that he had made a breakthrough. I'll definitely make a huge profit this time. Ha ha. Sifa could not help but be excited as he asked in a low voice, Black slave, have you arrived? A voice rang out from another room. Master, immediately enter the primordial dimension. Hurry up. I can't wait. This plague pill would definitely cause a sensation in the East Imperial City. Hee hee. TSK Tisk. Shi Fa held the pill in his hand and looked at it lovingly again and again. Every part of it was perfect, better than any pills he had ever made in the past. However, he did not care about Long Fei, the primer of the alchemy. He had already refined the pill, and there was probably not even bones left behind. The shriveled-up corpse let out a long sigh. Tell him not to go at all. Universal realm is really too dangerous. Those of us from the lower realms are like ants. If we want to survive in the universal realm, we need to find a strong backer. Otherwise, any warrior would kill us. The other men who had been caught huddled together, not daring to look directly at Sifa. They trembled. They knew in their hearts that their time of death wasn't far. Seeing their frightened look, Sifa laughed proudly and said, Don't be afraid. I'm very happy today. You guys can live for a few more days. after I sell this plague pill and buy some high-grade materials and then refine you guys. You should thank this person. If not for him, you would all be dead by now. Ha ha ha. Sifa became increasingly happy as he looked at the pills in his hand. He couldn't help but be excited as he thought of the piles of grand mist crystals piled up in front of him. I'm rich. I've struck it rich. He was overjoyed. There was no defense at all. At this moment, Long Fei moved slightly, recovered to real face. Boom. In that instant, what's going on? Shifa suddenly felt the weight of the pill on his palm increase dramatically. His eyes were filled with curiosity. What's going on? Without waiting for him to react, he shouted, boom. Long Fei recovered his real face. He was standing right in the hands of Silva. Suddenly, old man Shi Fa was so scared that his eyes turned blank. He couldn't react at all. He just couldn't understand how a pill could suddenly turn into a human. He was stupefied. The surrounding people were all dumbfounded. It was hard to imagine. Long Fei moved. The energy that had been brewing in his hand suddenly slashed, and he roared out, "Refine this, Daddy? I will take your life." The Supreme Dragon Knife's energy suddenly exploded. He smashed down viciously from above on top of Western Fa's head. Too sudden. Old man Shi Fa was still in a state of shock, and he basically didn't have time to react. Furthermore, Long Fei's speed was extremely fast. Boom! Silva's body sank. Blood spurted out from the top of his head. His body fell onto the ground from the impact, his eyes sinister as he stared straight at Long Fei and said fiercely, You are actually still alive? Hiding in the midst of pills. Long Fei smiled slightly. You didn't think of it, right? Refine father? Don't you know who your father is? While he was speaking, Long Fei did not idle around. Taking advantage of his severe injuries was to take advantage of his illness and not give Shi Fa any chance to stand up. Long Fei took a step forward and sat down on his, but boom! Clenching his fists tightly and without any warning, he started bombarding the wound on Sifa's head. Bang, bang, bang. There was no cultivation technique, no energy. Right now, Long Fei was only relying on the tiniest bit of strength on his body. He did not dare to relax, because the moment he relaxed even the slightest bit, he could be killed by Shiman Wandai. Moreover, this shuttle also had a black slave in it. If he came out, even Long Fei wouldn't be able to stop him. His body was currently very weak. Even if he had the power of 3 ancient inheritance S on him, he basically did not have the energy to release them. The 2 inheritances of the underworld fire and the decaying power only had skin and skin. The lower planes could kill everything in an instant, but the fur of the 2 ancient inheritance S were completely useless in the universal realm. Long Fei had felt it when he was dealing with the outer space powerhouse. Universal realm was the first place under ancient world. The powerhouse of this world was different from the powerhouse of other planes. Bam, bam, bam. Long Fei used all of his strength and bombarded crazily. The people around were all dumbfounded. She looked at Long Fei in a daze. Long Fei shouted, "Why are you in a daze? Why aren't you coming over to help?" The 2 men who came from behind immediately shrunk like a turtle with its head in, not daring to move forward. The one-armed corpse man hesitated for a few seconds and then shouted, "What's there to be afraid of? Your father's lifespan has been sucked dry. Since I can't escape death anyway, I'll earn it by beating him up before I die." A flying star pounced on him, a one-handed attack. He didn't know why. The arm that was destroyed by the corpse man smashed at old man Shi Fa's chrysanthemum, which was then pulled out, making a loud popping sound. It was as if the chrysanthemum was being pushed into a toilet bowl. "I'll let you break my chrysanthemum. I'll let you suck my lifespan. Motherf asterisk cur, old man she fa wailed. Seeing the arm that had been cut off, and seeing the corpse man's madness, Longface shivered and said, Brother, your hobbies are really special, huh? That's what he did to me, the mummified man with the severed arm said. Longface lightly glanced at the spot where the broken arm corpse is, but and as expected, there was blood, as he said, then his hobbies are also very special. The two of them, one in front and one behind, bombarded the West FA. With the addition of the arm that had been cut off by the dried corpse, the blood on the top of the West FA Lee's head was quickly drained. It could not hold on for much longer. Moreover, he was just an alchemy master. Other than the power of powder, he did not have much value in terms of physical strength. After getting heavily hit by Longface once, he was already stupefied. Furthermore, Longface did not give him any chance to get up, and could only force him to stay on the ground and receive a beating. A few minutes later, Longface looked at the last bit of HP on his head. Longface smirked. Refining your father? Blast it for me. It was also at this time. The black slave replied, Master, enter the universal realm. Boom. Longface punched down. Old man she fa let out a blood-curdling scream. Zhang Xian rolled his eyes. His hair was sticking up. Huff. Longface practically paralyzed as he let out a long breath and fell to the side. He was secretly excited in his heart. It exploded, right? It's about to level up, right? Come on, little boss, kill them for me. Upgrade. 10 billion experience points was about to explode. Longface's heart quieted down as he confidently listened. The system rang out with an incomparably wonderful prompt. Ding. Chapter 27-21, System Update. Chapter 27-21, System Update. Hearing the beautiful system beep, Longface's heart relaxed. No matter what, as long as the system beep rang, he could be considered to have killed the monster, otherwise his work would have been in vain. Ding. Congratulations to player Longface for killing Evil Spirit Alchemy Technique Western Techniques for obtaining 1800 experience, 100 true spiritual value, 1 universal value. Ding. Congratulations to player Longface for obtaining Evil Spirit Alchemy Technique. Congratulations to player Longface for obtaining Life Essence number 1. Congratulations to player Longface for obtaining Innate True Pill number 1. Ding. Congratulations to player Longface for entering Universal Realm. Ding. System notification. Player has entered Universal Realm. System update. Time to update. 2 hours. Ding. System notification. Players are unable to use all the functions of the system while the system is being updated. Ding. System update start. A series of notifications. Looked at the system beep, looked at the experience and things that the old man Xie had obtained, and his expression trembled slightly. True spiritual value? This should be the universal realm's blue, right? What is universal value? System update. What did you update this time? I'm really looking forward to it. Longface looked at the progress bar that appeared in his mind and exhaled lightly. I'm really not used to not being able to use the system for 2 hours. Every time you enter a plain system, it will be updated. There will be many different things. Right now, Longface was worried that the system would update whatever it had. For example, his 100 charm value points. If the update was erased, then he would be in big trouble. At the very least, charm value at full strength could be extremely useful sometimes, such as seduction, young woman, the young girl, or something. And then again, would Longface's own ancient inheritance power be updated? Would it become systematic? How does an underworld fire cultivate? How do I cultivate decaying power? If it were just two sets of cultivation techniques, then cultivating it would be a problem for Long Fei and proficiency, and it would be much easier. But if that wasn't the case, then Long Fei must think of a way to cultivate them, and must not let these two powerful ancient inheritance powers be wasted just like that. Master System, please evolve and produce more things. It would be best for you to unravel the memories of my seal. Otherwise, I need you to give me even more power. Amit Ba. Long Fei prayed in his heart. At this time, the desiccated corpse man with a severed arm was dead in front of the old man, Shi Fa, yet his entire body was stiff before he died. Long Fei said, all right, both of you are dead. Even if I die, I will blow up his chrysanthemum. Just as I entered the universal realm, before I could even touch the hands of the universal realms girls, I was brought to this damned place and took 100 years of my lifespan. If it wasn't for my life, I would have died already. If I don't vent my anger properly, I won't stop. 100 years of longevity. A whole 100 years. How many 100 years does life have? As he spoke, he felt like crying. I can't even win a girl from universal realm before I die. The girl I want to woo is my dream. Before even getting a chance to soak in the water, my chrysanthemum was first destroyed. I won't believe it if I don't break him. Look at how handsome I used to be. Tall and strong. What does it look like now? It's like I'm a desiccated corpse that doesn't let a woman suck up all of it. How do you make those girls look at me? Long Fei took out the life essence that had just exploded out, threw it onto the body of the dried corpse, and said, this should be a pill that was refined using your life force. He looked at the life essence in his hand, then looked at Long Fei, and said with a bit of shock, This is 100 years of longevity. Long Fei replied, I know. The mummified man with the severed arm said, are you just going to give it to me like this? Long Fei said, what's wrong? You don't want it? If you don't want it, then bring it back. Without waiting for Long Fei to finish speaking, the desiccated corpse man immediately swallowed the pill and laughed. Yes, of course I want it. Life Essence S were incomparably important to the people who had just entered the universal realm. Warriors who successfully passed the heavenly tribulation and entered the universal realm did not have a big breakthrough. At most, they only had a lifespan of 100 years. Having his lifespan extracted from 100 years, his lifespan was already insufficient. It won't be long before I die of old age. As for others, this 100-year life essence could increase their lifespan by 100 years. Time was everything to them. As long as they had time, they could change their fates. But Long Fei gave it to him without even batting an eye. Even with his longevity, the one-armed, dried corpse felt extremely grateful in his heart. The life essence swallowed it. His body was suffused with a layer of red. His complexion had improved, and his hair had turned dark. It was just that. His body hadn't recovered its height yet, but he still looked like a shriveled, mummified corpse. However, he could feel the strong longevity. The mummified man with the severed arm stood up and said, Thank you. From today onwards, you will be my boss. If you let me go west, I will absolutely not go east. Unless there is a peerless beauty to the east. Boss, my name is Tandapeo. Long Fei laughed. He needed someone to protect him at the moment, too. Chapter 2722, Western Regions. Chapter 2722, Western Regions. All the people here were captured by the black slaves. It could be said, moreover, 2 of them had even instantly their throats cut off. And Long Fei were the only ones left behind. The black slave's gloomy eyes carried a cold glint as he stared straight at Long Fei. Tandapeo lowered her voice and said, Wait for him to come up. I'll hold him back. You think of a way to make a move. Long Fei stood where he was and looked at the black slave. The two of them looked at each other for 3 minutes. In these 3 minutes, Long Fei's palms broke out in a cold sweat because the system was still updating. He still had not reached the level. Even if he obtained the experience from killing the Western FA, he should have leveled up, but because the system had upgraded, he did not. He was still level 0. Moreover, he had experienced the black slave's methods. Not wasting any time with you, just kill him. 3 minutes was a type of torment, but there wasn't even the slightest bit of fear in Long Fei's eyes. Instead, he was abnormally calm. "You killed him," the black slave coldly asked as he glanced at the corpse of Sifa. Long Fei replied, "Yes." The black slave's eyes became even more sinister, as if she wanted to see through Long Fei. Then he stared at Long Fei for a few minutes. Tan DePeo couldn't take it anymore. His mind was about to explode. He immediately shouted out, "If you want to kill me, go ahead, stop wasting my breath." After he finished speaking, the black slave silently turned around and once again walked into the darkness. He didn't say anything. It was a little sudden, but in the end the sinister coldness in his eyes disappeared. Huff! When Tan DePeo saw the black slave disappear into the darkness, he let out a long breath and fell flat on his butt. His entire body was drenched in sweat as he said fiercely, "This is too unbearable." Universal Realm is truly worthy of being called a universal realm. A slave has such a powerful aura. I was almost crushed by him. We really didn't come here. Huff, 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 huff. Tan DePeo panted heavily and said with a grin, "Why did he leave in the end? No, we can't escape. Wait to kill us." Long Fei's heart relaxed, and he shook his head. "I don't know." He opened up the system and checked. The system update was still more than an hour away. Zhang Xian panicked. "System Grandpa, hurry up too. Sooner or later, your father will die in your hands." Long Fei grumbled in his heart. The system update was so. Why did he have to take back the function of the system? As a result, his body had been upgraded and yet to recover. This point was truly fatal. Tan DePeo said, "I hope they don't appear again. I really can't take it anymore." Long Fei said indifferently, "If we didn't make a move just now, we probably wouldn't have made a move." In other words, he would not make a move on Long Fei and the others anymore. Moreover, it could be seen that the black slave hated the West FA very much. He was as black as a man from a coal mine. This wasn't what they looked like in the sky. It was definitely because of the alchemy or the drugs that they were given, causing their skin to change in such a way. If Long Fei did not guess wrong, the black slave had a deep grudge against Western law. That's good. That's good. As long as we don't do anything, it's fine. It's not easy to pass through the tribulation and enter the universal realm. Otherwise, before the universal realm can enter, he'll die. This is too tragic. Tan DePeo leaned on one side and looked at his missing arm, and his brows slightly tightened. They really lost an arm before they even entered the universal realm. If his arm was missing life, then it was still there. If his life was still there, then everything was still possible. Long Fei said, "Let's take a break. We should be arriving soon." Tan DePeo immediately closed his eyes and rested, then muttered, "Wait until Tan DePeo, find the energy crystal. Then let's see who the F*** king dares to touch this daddy here." Long Fei also slightly closed his eyes. System update, 39%. I still want a lot of time. I wonder what will happen after this update. The system update was just like the game update. There would definitely be big changes. A change you can't foresee. All of this was controlled by the game's settings. Long Fei had also thought about who designed the system in his mind. Those alien creatures? Or were they the powerhouse of the great emperor in the void? This game system is too advanced. One day I'll find out. I don't like being controlled. Long Fei secretly clenched his fists. His mind recovered from the progress of the system update. Looking at the dark sky, he said secretly, I wonder how is the leopard girl? If the leopard girl can decipher my memories of the seal, then wouldn't finding someone I know in the past mean that she will be able to decipher the seal? And my father, is that person being held by my father in Dragon Abyss Dungeon? And mother, Dragon Clan, God's tribe, all of you, just you wait. Thinking about Long Fei, he also couldn't help but slowly fall asleep. Too tired. From the magic tribe's territory to the divine capital, then from the divine capital's escape. To hear, Long Fei had not slept for even an hour. Now that he had entered the universal realm, his body could no longer take it, and he fell asleep in a few minutes. After an unknown period of time. Boss, wake up. We're here. We're here. Tan DePeo gently pushed Long Fei a few times. Long Fei's eyelids were heavy. He slowly opened them and discovered that the light outside was dazzling, and his entire body instantly bounced up from the ground. Where are we? Tan DePeo said excitedly. We're at Universal Realm. We're finally here. Ha ha ha. Tan DePeo pointed to a huge city not far away and said, quickly look, that should be the Western regions that old Western FA monster is talking about. Long Fei looked over, and his expression tightened. It was simply not a city at all. It was a mountain range that stretched endlessly. The city walls towered above the clouds. This city, too powerful. Long Fei had seen many big cities. Zhenwu Continent S and Sanglan Continent S were also considered big cities. They were all extremely majestic. But, compared to the East Imperial City in front of him, those cities seemed like little imps. The difference was too great. Long Fei was stunned. Tan DePeo said, this city is F** King big. If I were to use my feet to walk, I probably won't be able to go around once in 10 years, right? This is the universal realm. Ha ha ha. Too domineering. Long Fei was also secretly excited. We have finally arrived. We have finally arrived at Universal Realm. How long have I been asleep? Tan DePeo replied. I don't know. I just woke up a while ago. And then, Long Fei quickly opened up the system to check. System update, 98%. I'm just 2% away from completing the update. System, what kind of changes can you bring about? At this moment, the flying shuttle began to slow down. They flew towards a huge piece of flat ground inside the East Imperial City. It was also at this time the black slave walked out, looked at Long Fei, and coldly said, you killed Western FA, so if you can't hand over the plague pill, you will die very quickly. Chapter 27-23. He is the great master of the West. Chapter 27-23. He is the great master of the West. After the black slave finished speaking, he disappeared into the darkness. He was standing in the dark, and you couldn't see him as long as he didn't speak. Tan DePeo was also shocked and said, I heard from old man Shi Fa that he came to Western regions to hand in his mission and that he handed over his plague pill. What do we do now? Long Fei secretly frowned. What should he do? He didn't know. However, he could still be sure of his alchemy. Long Fei said, there's no rush. Let's go down and take a look. There was only a little bit of time before the system would be updated. When that happened, everything would be fine. East Imperial City, Lawn Mansion. Master, the flying shuttle of the evil spirit alchemy master, Shi Fa, is about to land. Sifa? The evil spirit alchemy master who promised to refine the plague pill for us. A middle-aged scholar with blue hair stood atop his head. A strand of blue hair. This is the beauty of Lan Clan's blood vein. The middle-aged man's name is Lan Yuan. He was the current patriarch of the Lan Mansion. A ray of light flashed across Lan Yuan's eyes, and he said, "Immediately send people to receive him. Do not be negligent." The guard immediately said, "As you command." Although evil spirit alchemy masters were alchemy masters of the evil faction, none of them could be easily offended, especially this kind of evil sect alchemy master. The consequence of offending someone was that they might end up dying for no reason. Lan Mansion was a huge clan within the East Imperial City, so even then, they did not dare to easily offend an alchemy master. Visible alchemy masters had a very high status in the universal realm. The guard walked out, and a woman walked out. Lan Mei. Her head of cool blue hair was different from a strand of Lan Yuan's. She had a head full of blue hair, which also meant that her Lan clan blood vein was incredibly pure. Lan Mei asked, "Daddy, do you really want to use the plague pill?" Lan Yuan was silent for a moment, then said slightly, "There is no other way. The Black Prison Valley's beasts are too strong. They are too concentrated. We can only try with the plague pill." Lan Mei said, "Daddy, the plague pill's killing potential is too great. Once they lose control, they can scatter and harm innocent people, and East Imperial City clearly forbids the use of this kind of evil spirit pellet." "Daddy, I'm fine. If I can't cultivate, then I won't. It's enough as long as I have Father's protection." Lan Mei said stubbornly. It was because of this that an incomparably pure Lan clan blood vein had long hair. Her blood vein was too pure and strong, causing his meridians to be unable to withstand it. He had cultivated for 3 years, and all the meridians in his body were blocked, unable to continue. She had also become a joke in the East Imperial City. No matter what the price was, even if it was his own life, he would make his daughter cultivate anew. As a martial artist, not being able to cultivate was even worse than death. The mission was difficult, but no matter what, he would try. He couldn't lift the Lan clan to a new height, but as long as Lan Mei was able to clear her meridians with her talent, she would definitely be able to let Lan clan step into the peak of perfection. Lan Mei's blood vein is the history of the Lan clan. The other most powerful person was the first patriarch. Long Fei and Tan de Peo walked down the flying shuttle. The black slave did not come down. Instead, he stood at the entrance of the flying shuttle and glanced at Long Fei. Long Fei looked at him and said, "Aren't you coming down?" The black slave glanced at the scorching sun outside, slightly shook his head, and then coldly said, "I wish you good luck." In that instant, bam, the shuttle door closed. Tan de Peo disdainfully said, "Damn." Long Fei looked at the vast plaza and thought to himself, "I didn't expect there to be an airport in this alternate world." How awesome! Tan de Peo was just like Grandma Lu, who entered the large ornamental garden. She said excitedly, "The universal realm is just different, powerful indeed, powerful indeed." Without waiting for them to sigh, at this time, a dozen tight-uniformed disciples and an old man walked over. They looked at Long Fei and asked, "Which one of you is Master Shi Fa?" Long Fei's gaze tensed up. Tan de Peo looked at Long Fei and carefully became on guard. The black slave was right. The West Fa was really here to hand in the mission. The situation didn't look good, because these disciples all had a trace of killing intent on their faces. Long Fei's ability to sense killing intent was far beyond ordinary, and could clearly sense it. Long Fei's throat shook and asked, "Who are you?" The old man looked at Long Fei and said, "You don't need to care who we are. You only need to answer where Grandmaster Shi Fa is." Tan de Peo did not know where these people came from, but upon hearing the elder address him with such respect, he immediately replied, "He is Grandmaster Shi Fa." "Why aren't you quickly bowing to Great Master Shi Fa when you see him?" The old man's lips curled up into a cold smile. Table of Contents. Table of Contents. Long Fei's heart trembled. F asterisk asterisk K. A pig teammate, Tandapeo, did not sense any killing intent. Moreover, he also wanted to use his name to frighten the other party. However, when he saw the sneer on the old man's face, his heart sank as he thought, "Crap." The old man said, "Lord Chiefe, follow us." It was also at this time. A dozen or so disciples instantly surrounded Long Fei. Tandapeo yelled, "What are you guys trying to do? Who are you to dare treat Master Western Law like this? Do you believe that Master's evil pill will make you all go down to the underworld?" The dozen or so disciples instantly froze. Their gazes all turned towards the old man. The old man's eyes secretly tightened as he spoke indifferently. "Grand Master Chiefe, we do not have any intention of harming you. However, it is best for you to cooperate. Otherwise, some unpleasant things will happen." The old man's eyes widened. Immediately, the dozen disciples took another step forward and narrowed the encirclement. The demonic pill masters were indeed terrifying, but this is the East Imperial City, and once a demonic pill refiner got close enough, he would have a hard time using it. Tandapeo looked at Long Fei with anxiety. He did not know what Long Fei was thinking. Long Fei remained calm as he quickly analyzed the situation. These people must have never seen the old man, Chiefe, before. Otherwise, they wouldn't have recognized the wrong person. And I can tell that these people are more or less afraid of the Western Law, but it seems like the evil sex alchemy masters are still something to be afraid of. But are these people Western people who want a hand in a mission? Let's take a gamble. Long Fei smiled faintly and said, "What is your goal? Is it also a plague pill?" As soon as he finished, the old man's gaze tensed up, and he muttered softly, "Lon Clan really wants the plague pill." The old man's eyes flashed. He looked at Long Fei and said, "Seems like Lord Chiefe is very clear about why we're here. Not bad. Our goal is indeed the plague pill." Long Fei said, "I am a very easygoing person. If you want the plague pill double the price, I will give it to you immediately. After all, who in the world can be more expensive?" The elder's eyes narrowed. "I wonder how much is double the price." Long Fei did not dare to say anything carelessly. After all, he did not even know what the price of a plague pill would be, so he just raised two of his fingers. The old man's gaze darkened. He was a bit shocked as he said, 20 million Grand Mist crystals." Tandapeo's eyes suddenly opened wide. He was so shocked that he couldn't even speak as he looked at Long Fei in shock. 20 million. Long Fei still carried a very high and profound look, appearing very calm. There wasn't a single ripple in his eyes, and he gently smiled, saying, "Not bad. You know what's good?" Long Fei thought in his heart, "Damn, if I don't have the money in the future, I can definitely make a fortune with my alchemy. A single pill can produce 20 million Grand Mist crystals. This is just too amazing." The old man looked at Long Fei. Long Fei was too calm. He had the appearance of an expert, acting cool. No one was stronger than Long Fei. The elder slightly said, "I must ask the clan leader for 20 million. What do you think about this? Why don't you follow me back to the manor and discuss it before deciding on a course of action?" Long Fei said, "There's no need to go to your residence. We'll wait on the flying shuttle." While they were talking, Long Fei said to Tandapeo, "All right, let's go back." As he spoke, he began to walk in the direction of the flying shuttle. The elder's eyes darkened as he said coldly, "Wait." Long Fei stopped and did not look back as he said, "What's wrong? Is there a problem?" The old man said, "Master, I have come today to invite you to follow me back to the manor. Either you come with me, or you hand over the plague pill. If not." Tandapeo was sweating profusely. Long Fei was still very calm and said coldly, "Otherwise, what would happen?" The old man said, Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite. I know that the cultivation of your evil sex alchemy masters is not very high, so don't be disrespectful, Lord Shiafe. As soon as he finished, a dozen guards drew their weapons. However, at this moment, they immediately retreated a few steps, because at this moment, Long Fei was holding a pitch-black medicinal pellet in his hand, and he said coldly, "I never know what it means to be tactful. You're right, our alchemy technique is indeed not very good, but I'm not feeling well. No one should have any good thoughts. Do you want to try the taste of the plague pill?" The old man's expression trembled, and his body lightly trembled, looking at the black-colored pellet in Long Fei's hands. His eyes narrowed, and he said faintly, "Sir, you're not joking about your own life, are you?" Long Fei said, "I have the antidote. What am I afraid of? It's you people. When your bodies rot and become like smallpox, you will die wherever you go. Stop me. Stop another one to take a look." Tandapeo looked at Long Fei. He was very clear in his heart that the pellet in Long Fei's hand was not plague pill at all, because if they made a mistake, the two of them would die a horrible death. They were in a deadlock for a moment. The old man and Long Fei looked at each other. The old man's eyes were fixated on the pellet in Long Fei's hands, while Long Fei was calmly facing everything, yet his heart was flipped upside down. "The heck? Are you scared of me? Why aren't you leaving? I can't even continue pretending with this." His back was soaked. Long Fei still maintained his calm demeanor, but his voice was slightly cold, and he said, "You all still know you came late." Tandapeo was also not in a good mood. "We almost died." The middle-aged man immediately lowered his head. "I am truly sorry, and I hope that sire will forgive me." Long Fei shouted, "Forgive what? This transaction has been cancelled. The plague pill you want is gone. East Imperial City was a bad place. Furthermore, he didn't have a system nor a level, so it would be extremely dangerous to stay here for more than a second. It seemed like if those people retreated, they would definitely not let this matter rest. Moreover, Long Fei was very clear that the group of people were not coming for him, but the people with blue hair on their heads. Once he was involved, it would be even more difficult to survive. Right now, the most important thing to do was to leave the East Imperial City as soon as possible. However, the East Imperial City could not even be described as a city. It was simply a huge empire. The buildings were endless, situated on top of various mountain peaks. Moreover, the city walls that towered in the sky were even harder to reach. The city walls were used for defense. What were these walls used for? No one knew. Demon Beast. The time outside would be even more dangerous. However, Long Fei was more willing to fight with the Demon Beast than to get involved in the conflict between the clans in East Imperial City. Tandapeo was also aware of this point and said, "Did you hear Lord Shiefe's words clearly? If the trade is cancelled, then scram. If you don't, then don't blame us for being impolite." It was the king's way to leave as soon as possible. The middle-aged man's eyebrows tightened and said, "This patriarch told me that I must bring Lord Shiefe back to the palace. And, Lord, just now, I saw your flying shuttle leaving immediately. If you want to leave the East Imperial City, you must have another flying shuttle. As long as you are willing to follow me back to the Lawn Mansion, I am willing to provide you with a new flying shuttle." Tandapeo said heavily, "You can't leave without a flying shuttle? Is it possible that there are no city gates or something in East Imperial City?" Within a circumference of millions of kilometers, everyone knew that there were no city gates. There was only one way to enter the East Imperial City, and that was to fly in a flying shuttle and say, "There really aren't any city gates in the East Imperial City." "No," Tandapeo's eyes widened. "That's impossible, right? With a city wall, there should be a city gate." He was in disbelief. Long Fei was the same. He was secretly shocked in his heart. Damn, there isn't even a city gate. What kind of demon beast are they defending against? He was shocked, but on the surface, Long Fei looked like he already knew about it. The middle-aged man said, "This is because the location of the East Imperial City is a little special, located at the center of the city. Outside of the city gates are the Ghost Caves, Night Valley, Ice Plains, and Worm Caves of the western regions. The demon beast in these places are all extremely powerful. The city walls are built to better defend these demon beasts. Ghastly Cave, Night Bone, Ice Plains, Wormhole." Long Fei silently recited this sentence, recording these words in his heart. The stronger the demon beast, the more excited he would be. The stronger they were, the more experience they would gain. A great place to level up. Tan DePeo's face was full of shock, but he pretended not to be afraid at all and said, "So, what? Do you think we can't fly out of this city wall? I'm telling you that the might of the Lord Shi-Fa is something that you all are simply unable to touch." Pucci, ha ha ha. Several guards behind the middle-aged man laughed. Long Fei said indifferently, "The city walls cannot be flown out." The middle-aged man continued, "It's clear that unless one is a saint-level powerhouse, the walls of the East Imperial City are unable to fly out. We'll talk about it later." The middle-aged man looked at Long Fei and lowered his voice, saying, "Sir, those people just now were the people from the southern. They have their eyes on you." The meaning was very simple. If you do not return to Lan Mansion, you will have nowhere to go. Long Fei said indifferently, "So you're saying we have no other choice?" The middle-aged man said, "Sir, please come back with us. The patriarch is ready." Long Fei pondered for a moment, then said, "Since that's the case, then lead the way." Tan DePeo pulled Long Fei back and said in a low voice, "Brother Fei, we don't have any plague pill." Long Fei said, "If you don't stay here, you'll just be waiting for death. One step at a time." Chapter 27-26, Bewildering Waves, Vulgar Development. Chapter 27-26, Bewildering Waves. Vulgar development. The danger level of universal realm exceeded Long Fei's expectations. Forget about the inside of the East Imperial City. Just the walls surrounding it was enough to explain everything. Here, Demon Beast was king. The strongest overlord in the western regions was not a human, nor was it a member of any other race. It was a demon beast. In the western regions domain, the East Imperial City was like the last piece of pure land. Exit the city? I'm afraid the outcome will be dangerous. At least there was a chance of staying in the city. First, let's not waste any time and develop in a wretched manner. Systems. Waiting for level increase. When the time comes, nothing would be a problem. This was Long Fei's current plan. Tan DePeo's heart was a mess. He was very careful along the way. No one knew what he was thinking. An hour later, they finally arrived at their destination, Lan Mansion. It was located on a small hill. The middle-aged man's name was Lan Yi. He stood at the entrance of the Lan Mansion and made an inviting gesture towards Long Fei, saying, "Master, we have arrived." And then a disciple quickly ran out and said to Blue Forest, "Elder, the patriarch wants you to bring the guests to the main hall." Lan Yi nodded and said, "Please follow me. The patriarch has been waiting for a long time." At this time, Long Fei took a step forward and asked, "Does your patriarch recognize me? This is the first time we have met. I heard that this is also the first time you have come to East Imperial City." Long Fei gave Tan DePeo a look and immediately pretended to be stupid. "Then how do you know that my master can refine plague pill?" Lan Yi said, "This is very simple. We only need to issue the mission to the Evil Sex Pill Alliance. The one who accepts this mission is your Lord Shi-Fa." Long Fei nodded in his heart and thought, So that's how it is, as long as you haven't seen it before. Evil Sex Pill Alliance. Seems like it's specially used for evil medicine masters like Shi Fa to use evil alchemy. Tan DePeo became more worried after entering the Lawn Mansion. Like him, Long Fei had just ascended into Universal Realm and killed Western Fa Sure. If the Evil Sex Pill Alliance found out about this, the two of them would definitely be hunted down. Moreover, let alone the Evil Sex Pill Alliance, they couldn't even fool them right now. Ha ha ha. Welcome. Welcome, my lord. From the old distance, Lan Yuan went forward to welcome them. But, looking at Long Fei's age and appearance, she was slightly stunned, but she did not reveal it. After all, it was impossible to see a person's age clearly from the appearance of this world. Furthermore, he was an alchemy master of an evil sect. Face-preserving pill and disguise pill were normal things. Long Fei maintained his calm demeanor and smiled faintly. A few middle-aged men sat in the hall. As they saw Long Fei walk into the hall, they also stood up slightly. They looked like they were not ordinary people, but they were afraid of Long Fei, which showed the status of an alchemist. After they sat down, Lan Yuan also immediately went straight to the point. I apologize for the unpleasant things that Yans has done to you. In addition to the price of the plague pill, I will also add another 100,000 Grand Mist crystals as spiritual compensation. He had used 100,000 Grand Mist crystals as soon as he had attacked. The Lan clan was powerful. Tan DePeo's eyes tensed up. He looked at Long Fei and started talking about Plague Pill S. If he couldn't take it out, this was their headquarters. If they couldn't get the pill out, would they be able to leave so easily? Lan Yuan flipped his right hand, and a space ring appeared in his palm. This is the primordial crystal I prepared for you. Take a look. While he was speaking, the few elders in the hall all looked at the space ring in Lan Yuan's hand. That was more than 2 years of Lan clan's income. But it was a super number. Tan DePeo closed his eyes. His heart was thumping hard. We're finished, we can't take out the pills, we're done for now. He was sitting like a needle right now. Long Fei looked at the system and cursed in his heart. System, are you a dead man? Was it their broken net? Not even 1% had been updated. Completely? Your sister. The update was still incomplete. Long Fei almost couldn't hold it anymore. Lan Yuan looked at Long Fei and said, Master, your plague pill. The corner of Long Fei's mouth lifted slightly. He smiled and said, I'm sorry, I didn't manage to refine it. Tan DePeo's heart skipped a beat. He secretly clenched his fists and stored his strength. No matter what, he was not a sitting duck. Even if he couldn't win, he still had to try. The entire hall was stunned. They were all staring at Long Fei. Lan Yuan's pupils also violently contracted as her voice became somewhat downcast. What did you say? He didn't refine it? Then why did you come to the East Imperial City to hand over your mission? A man said lightly, Patriarch, since there are no plague pill, I think we should forget about it. Right. This might be fate. 10 million Grand Mist crystals is the income our Lan clan earned over the past few years. It has affected the cultivation of many people, so it's fine if we can't refine a plague pill right now. The other elder followed along. To them, the deal was too big. Moreover, even obtaining the plague pill had a huge risk. Not just anyone could enter the Black Prison Valley. Even if the Black Prison god Grass inside could open up Lan Mei's blocked meridian, it would be a different story. Lan Yuan did not care. Staring straight at Long Fei, he suddenly said, If you are not Sifa, then who are you? It was as if he had seen through Long Fei. Tan DePeo almost fell down from his chair, his entire body shivering, but he looked at Long Fei as calm as ever, not even moving an inch. Aren't you afraid of that? Long Fei smirked and said, I am indeed. not Lord Shi-Fa. Plop. This time, Tandapeo really couldn't hold it in and fell off the chair and started trembling inside. Lan Yuan's gaze tensed up. At the same time, the two elders who were just talking suddenly stood up and stared at Long Fei. Kid, who are you? What is the purpose of the alchemy masters of the evil sect Pill Alliance entering Arlan Mansion? If you don't explain yourself today, don't even think about stepping half a step out of here. In an instant, the hall was filled with killing intent. 2 rows of guards quickly surrounded the hall. Tandapeo stood up, standing behind Long Fei, and looked straight into the eyes of the 2 elders. Long Fei picked up the teacup and blew lightly on it, drinking a bit of the fragrant tea, then said slowly, "Even though I'm not a Western lord, I can refine plague pill-less. You... Humph. Brat, I felt that something was wrong the moment you came in. Shi-Fa is a very famous evil elixir alchemist. Even he couldn't guarantee that he would be able to refine 100%. Who do you think you are? Speak, what is your goal?" At this moment, Long Fei took out a medicinal pellet from his bosom and threw it into Lan Yuan's embrace, saying, "A innate pellet, this level is too trashy." Lan Yuan was startled. Another clan elder looked at Lan Yuan. "Is it really a talent pellet?" Lan Yuan nodded. And then Lan Yuan looked at Long Fei and said, "Can you really refine plague pill?" He was eager. This was because he knew that the black prison god grass would mature in a few days. If he could not harvest it when it matured, then he would have to wait for 10 years. At this time, there was no time to give the Pill Alliance any more missions. Long Fei smiled lightly and said, "Yes." Lan Bao walked over and said, "Big brother, are we really going to do this?" Lan Yuan smiled faintly and said, "If I don't say it like that, how did Yan's fall for it?" The 2 of them were stunned. Lan Yuan said, "Third brother, 4th brother, make some preparations. We will leave tonight. The only one who can change the fate of Lan clan is Lan Mei." Lan Bao said, as he nodded heavily, "Big brother, we were already prepared a long time ago. We were just waiting for you to say something." Lan Yuan said, "All right, let's go tonight. We must collect them before the black prison god grass matures." At this time, Lan Hu asked and said, "Master, that brat stayed in Lan clan? Should I?" Lan Yuan said indifferently, "The 2 of them should be low-level tribesmen caught from the unholy cave's long corridor. They have not received their baptism yet. Their physiques and talents have not been cleansed, making it difficult to move an inch in East Imperial City. If I let them stay for 3 days, that would allow them to live for 3 more days. From now on, it's up to them." Actually, Lan Yuan could already tell that there was something fishy, just like now. Although he did not believe that Long Fei could refine a plague pill, he still held on to a glimmer of hope. "Understood. Big brother, let's go back and make some preparations." The 2 of them quickly left. Lan Yuan gently touched it with his right hand and grabbed the strand of blue hair on top of his head to his chest. "Protect the Lan clan. Protect Lan Mei. You were once one of the Holy General's first powerhouse. All these years have passed, and Lan clan has never been able to reappear in your glory. If Lan Mei were to open up some channels, I believe that our Lan clan will definitely return to his position of primordial tyrant, the god of deep blue." He silently chanted a few sentences. Humph, you want our Yans to snatch the plague pill. Lan Yuan, oh Lan Yuan, your wishful thinking is really well thought out. But you never would have thought that your Lan clan had one of my people, right? Ha ha ha. Yans. The clan head, Yan Tianyang, laughed coldly. "Patriarch, what should we do about the kid who popped out of the west? Should we send someone to settle this?" Yen Tianyang disdainfully said. What kind of trouble can that trash create? Even if we give him 100 years' time, he won't be able to refine a plague pill. Ignore him. As long as there are no plague pills, Lan Yuan would not dare to take the risk and enter the Black Prison Valley. If you can't get the Black Prison Godgrass, the super genius of Lan Clan will always be a piece of trash. Before long, my Yans will ride on their heads and rush to the middle-leveled families in East Imperial City. Ha ha! 3 days. Only 3 days. Brother Fei, what do we do? Do we only have 3 days? My universal realm didn't even get a girl's hand, and you're already going to die? Tan DePeo paced back and forth in the simple courtyard. He looked like an ant on a hot pan, very anxious. 3 days. In the blink of an eye, it disappeared just like that. Tan DePeo walked to the entrance of the courtyard and looked outside through the crack in the door. Tan DePeo walked back. This time I really can't escape. Long Fei sat on the stone block and closed his eyes to rest. He was thinking about what the Lan clan wanted the plague pill to do. Against whom? Using plague pill S in the city was too risky and too cruel to kill. Even if he could defeat a strong enemy, the East Imperial City still had a stronger enemy, and he would definitely fight against them. If it wasn't to deal with the enemy, then who was it to deal with? The demon beast? What was his goal? Long Fei could tell that Lan Yuan was very anxious. Even if he knew that he was unable to refine a plague pill, there was still a sliver of hope in his eyes. Just as Long Fei was thinking about this, a voice resounded in his mind. Ding! System prompt. Update complete. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for activating Grand Miss System. You're tuning in to the Mystic Fist YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.